So, all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and call the workshop to order. I guess, oh no, 9:28 though, right? Oh,
You're good. We're live.
Yeah, we're live. Okay, that's good. So I'm gonna go ahead and call the workshop to order. And I'll just say here, if Ken does text me and say, "Oh, I'd like to join," then I'll just pause the meeting and call. We'll have to take a vote for him to join, even though it's a workshop, we still procedurally have to do that. So, okay, so I've called it to order. Just for the record, I'm gonna say, present are Supervisor Rich Goodman, Supervisor Cindy Sneezak, Supervisor Joe Pizarnik, Supervisor Cheryl Harmon Tarana, and River Club General Manager Greg Barker, and Keith Livermore, Field Managers present, thank you. And we also have audience members present. The next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we are gonna go ahead and take public comment. Somebody said, do you want a piece of paper and we can just have people?
We just have them raise their hands.
We can, yeah, that's true, yeah, and then I'll just keep track of who it is.
I don't think we need one.
No.
No, I don't think so, all right, yeah, so we're gonna, go ahead, Barbara.
The monuments painted look fantastic.
Agree.
I say, wow. They're a real wow.
Oh,
And have you given any thought to asking the golf club to maybe take down the monument that says Welcome Center?
it'd be nice,
Get rid of it?
it would be nice,
Or
it'd be
if we
nice to
did-
get rid of the whole thing.
Or if we just paint.
Replace
if
it
we
with a
get-
tree.
If
Don't
we get
paint
rid of
it.
the word
Don't
welcome
draw
center on it,
attention
just
to
paint
it.
it.
Yeah, I mean, we can't pay to do it because it's not on our property, but maybe if some volunteers could borrow some paint from the CDD and paint it, I'd be happy to volunteer.
I would volunteer to paint
And we
that.
take the letters off and say welcome center.
Yeah, so
So it's just a monument,
So
so
it's
it's
a-
not as,
nebulous, nothing, yeah.
Yeah,
can you reach out, can you reach out to check?
yeah,
And then
See if
maybe
they'll
have
do it
Dan
first.
do it? Would Dan be able to do it or no?
I'll take a look at the sign, see what it
not
takes to,
really,
we,
Oh,
because
because
we
it's
can't,
private
it's
property.
Dylan's rule. We
Yeah,
can't,
that's
yeah.
right.
But we could volunteer.
Yeah.
I'd volunteer.
I volunteer.
let me take a look at
Yeah.
the sign and see
Yeah.
what
He
it
can
puts
volunteer
into.
on a Saturday.
Yes.
You're right, I could.
But, yeah. So, okay, well, listen, thank you, Barbara. Anybody else? Darlene!
Long time.
Welcome back. Good morning.
Fire away.
Well, I had a couple of things. I want to talk about our roundabout. I want to make sure that I understand that the roundabouts will be replanted and mulched by the end of April. Because our roundabout was fine before it was demolished, and now it looks totally neglected. And it sits right in front of my house, and it's been in that condition for over 3 months.
Okay.
So if I were a homeowner, you would have fined me for having it look like that. The other thing is I know there's still issues with the Jonas system, so I'll forego what I was gonna say about that because
Well, Greg's here.
I know Greg's here, but
Okay.
that can be,
Okay.
it's just taking the reservations, how they're taken, then how the people are seated. I mean, it just seems to be a constant issue that, I don't know if it's arbitrarily being changed when the people get here. I mean, if they decide on a different seating structure or what it is, but I know at the last lady's luncheon, I did get 2 or 3 complaints that the people were not seated with the group that they signed up with, and they do not plan on signing
I
up
can
again
take that
because this isn't the
off- yeah.
first time that it's
Because
happened.
I can take that offline with you because we've already talked about it. So, yeah, I
Gotcha,
yeah.
okay.
You want to do this?
Speed bumps. Can we talk about speed bumps?
Sure.
I understand why speed bumps are necessary, and in some cases, their placement is well thought out. However, on Benito and Padova, the speed bumps are positioned too close to the stop sign. This simply prompts drivers to go over the bumps and keep moving rather than coming to a complete stop. It's becoming increasingly common. To be effective, the speed bumps should be set further back like they are at the entranceway for the stop sign. As someone who drives a car, not a golf cart or a bike, I sometimes feel targeted because golf carts often drive around the bumps, putting themselves at risk, and bikers do the same. They frequently exceed the speed limit allowed for cars without facing consequences.
Yeah.
Speed bumps can be useful, but only when everyone follows the rules, regardless of whether you're a golfer, a biker, or driving a vehicle.
Yeah.
And I see it more and more in this community. Someone almost got, I mean, we were coming down Pissarro, and someone almost got hit the other day because they decided to swerve into the middle, and the car decided he was gonna also swerve into the middle, not to have to go over the bump completely. I mean, it's just, we have to cite the purpose of these things, and everybody has to follow it, or they're of no use whatsoever. They're just another risk issue in the community. And kids driving golf carts, we've got to put an end to the kids driving golf carts. It's such a dangerous thing for them to do. So that's what I have to say about that.
Okay.
And I have something about the River Club too. Do you mind?
No, go for it.
I have noticed several new faces amongst the staff. It's amazing how Hampton is able to find us employees that used to take 3 to 4 months just to get one. I'm happy to see that they have kept some long-term employees, which adds familiarity to the mix. With all of this additional staff, I'm wondering what will happen during off-season. While I understand that this is an operational issue, it also becomes an issue of consistency as we need to maintain the quality of service throughout the year, not just during season. Thank you.
Did you wanna?
I can follow up with you offline, but the cul-de-sac is what we talked about. The irrigation was broken and
Yeah.
it's now been repaired, and they're gonna replant your cul-de-sac again.
Okay,
And
I
all
think
mulch is going down at the end of April.
the end of April, yeah, I understand that. I haven't seen anybody working on ours. I don't know if you have.
Well, we told them not to work on
Irrigation.
yours because it was you.
Because it was me. And I thoroughly get it. I thoroughly understand that and I thoroughly appreciate it. But
Yeah,
I
I
don't want
actually-
him going in there and deciding he's gonna replant because he's sick of looking at it.
No, they're actually gonna start this week. I've got it right here for Jill this morning.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Alrighty then. Ooh, okay, cool.
Coming along.
Um,
We voted on.
Yeah, wow.
Yes,
Anybody else? Oh,
Yeah,
right, go ahead,
I wasn't
Diana.
planning on speaking today, but
It's allowed.
sitting here, would somebody please fix these shades? It's very,
Oh, you mean the blue sticking out?
sticking out, sticking out, sticking
Yeah.
out,
that,
Yeah, they're not.
and
that's under-
sticking out, and sticking out.
I noticed that, but then I forget when I leave.
yes, Bob.
Thank you, that's it.
Thank you.
Like everybody else, I wasn't gonna speak today, but I will say, the whole thing behind speed bumps, seems to be overreach. We were attempting to solve problems that may be caused by 1 or 2% of the population in this community. I don't know, it's certainly not 5, and so what we do, we install speed bumps that inconveniences 100% of the community. We didn't have accidents before. I don't know of any accidents we've had over the years, but I must say, I now am encountering people going around these speed bumps, and it's more dangerous than the situation we had before. So, like government, we should avoid this kind of overreach where we think we can solve everybody's problems, particularly the few that complain about particular things. It just is not the majority. I would guess if you talk to the majority, they think speed bumps are like child neighborhood watch signs. They suggest something negative about the community that isn't really intended. So that's my thoughts on that.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, anybody else? Going once, going twice. So we're done. Okay, moving on. First,
Before we get into the
Yeah, yeah.
agenda items, what's not on the agenda is a little bit of Laurel fence investigation that I had done.
oh, okay.
Can I share that and then we can get into the agenda items? Is that
Yeah.
okay?
I have another agenda item to add as well, which I
Yeah,
sent it to you last night. I had sent it to Elise to add to the agenda.
right.
I
Okay,
meant this agenda, and she added it to the next
Oh.
agenda.
Oh,
So
okay.
I have it to talk about it later.
Okay.
So my suggestion, if you guys are au fait with it, is, well, because I had scribbled down some other things to add, and some of them may be longer discussion than others, things like 4B, which is discussion regarding board procedures and standards for amenity of suspensions. Should we go through some of the quick ones, and I'll keep track of what it is we add?
Sure.
And then if there's a longer thing, we'll say we'll do it at the end. Does
That works.
everybody think that makes sense?
That's good, yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right. So you want to go first since you piped up?
Is that okay?
Sure.
Sure, okay, so I reached out, well, Rick reached out to the planning commission for me to see what we could do about the fence and the 25 feet and have it run all the way through and blah, 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 all that fun stuff. And basically what it amounts to, in order for us to get this variance even submitted, we are talking that we gotta, yeah, thank you. It's gonna cost us $891. So before I went to the planning commission to say, let's go ahead and do this, we're talking 25 feet. Do we wanna spend $891 where we can strategically place 25 feet of non-fence, maybe even put in barbed wire if we needed to?
Razor wire.
Right? Or do we just, want to take it and not apply for the variance and put the 25 feet in strategically behind some trees and everything? Right. So I wanted to get everybody's opinion before I went forward to the planning commission with all of this, because I'm going to need the $891 in order to do that.
The 25 feet it's not longer than that tree section.
No.
So the trees are tight there, it's pretty,
Yes.
I'm okay with just moving forward, because if we do go to planning commission, we're delaying this by months and
Right.
months, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just kind of wanted to get everybody's feedback on that, and I can certainly say, okay, we're just gonna do it as is, and then Keith, you can pursue the estimates for the fencing and everything. I drew this because this is something that you had asked for, Rich.
Yep.
You wanted to see where the footage was. Now, I also only have this really going kind of around the corner. I obviously, it did not apply to the 25 feet, but you see me cutting it to 1,000 feet and where that 1,000-foot mark is when we stop. So I don't know, Keith, if we want to go for a much longer estimate and take the fence up Venito a little bit or whatever, but I just wanted to get everyone's feedback on that.
I think if we're going anywhere near up Veneta whatsoever, we need to, unless that's completely buried by shrubbery,
It's not right now, yeah.
then we need to either do a nicer fence
Okay,
in there, or we have to include planting there, because the last
Okay.
thing you want to do is drive into a facility, up Veneta and see chain link fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we do
Okay.
what we originally said, which run it behind the plantings
Uh-huh.
and then stop.
Okay.
Planting stuff, because that the guard can see at least,
Mhm.
Right.
so.
Okay. All right, great. So I will not go to the planning commission.
Right.
This is just documentation.
Thank you for
I'm good.
doing this.
No problem. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that.
I'm still not sure this is really gonna solve much, I just don't know. I mean, I truly get the.
Nancy, you're on camera.
I truly get the people's perspective
Here,
of
you can have this.
security, and I understand that.
Yeah.
It's just gonna force people to walk in a different place. And we have so many other open holes that we're spending this money to go from A to B, it's like whack-a-mole.
Well, I
We're just
hear
gonna-
you, but what I would say to that though is that there was a lot more planting there before the hurricane, and we collected $1,000
Oh, no,
against my objections. We collected $1,000 a roof for the work, and I think that we should at least make an effort to do something there, and it is part of our profile. And I've talked to a number of people in law enforcement who say your profile matters. In other words, the front door.
Yeah, like I said, I just don't want to spend good money to find out we're forcing people to go down to Siltadella and walk in right there.
Well, I don't think we can fix everything at once, but we can slowly make our way fixing each of these sections. And right now with the foot traffic that's sneaking in over onto the golf course, the folks on Treviso feel like they're being exposed. So I get it.
I completely understand, and
Yeah.
I'm all
Yeah,
for,
appreciate you
and
saying
I'm all
that, yeah.
for doing something because it is out of control. I just don't wanna fix this problem, to then be sitting here 3 months from now saying, okay, we now have another problem, we've created a
Right.
different problem.
Yeah.
We're never gonna completely fix it, I think is the issue, because we're not that community.
I know, but I think we should look at the other openings in conjunction with this.
They're all the way around.
They're all the way around.
I know, but okay, not every opening, the more obvious ones. I mean, I know that, you can walk from, my house is back by the fish camp, by the kayak launch. People can walk around the lake. Yeah, they're not gonna put a fence around that entire property.
Yeah.
We're not gonna put an entire fence around the boardwalk, so people from the fish camp can't walk in. I realize we're not gonna do all those things, but we have to think about Silverdella and any of the loose openings, at least
I
on
agree.
the Laurel frontage.
Right.
Exactly. And I think Citadella will get to addressing it. I mean, we just gotta start picking away at them. I mean, it's,
Well, and what I'd add too is, last year, I was talking to a couple people, one of whom, well, at the time was in law enforcement, he's now an attorney, but said there are contacts that they have within, I think it's the city of Venice, that can actually talk to people like us and discuss measures we could take around the property using plantings and other things. And maybe that's something we should think about, is availing ourselves of some resources who can help advise us on that. I think they'd be free resources.
yeah, the list was long when I talked to that individual.
Yeah.
He gave me like a full page of things that we should be doing that we're not. And we
Right.
just gotta slowly start picking away at them and
Yeah.
decide which ones we wanna do and which ones we don't wanna do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the next step then is for Keith to
Keith,
get us a price, and does that include the nice fence portion?
can we do both?
You bet.
Thank you.
Okay. Keith to do. All right, great. So,
Okay, thank you.
did you want to jump in, Cheryl? with-
Yeah, if you wanna talk about that quickly.
Okay, yeah, let me pull that up.
So I sent you an email about, the, rendition number 4, I think,
Yeah.
of the entry. And because I wanted to be able to talk about, we had Brian out here, landscape committee went out, we walked the front to make sure everybody was clear on what was going on. What I sent you was, not only his revision, which you haven't seen yet, but also a couple of changes to note on that. So, some more noticeable than others. The first one, I'll go through the list, when you pull the design up. Retain the silver buttonwoods behind the entry monuments because everybody wants those covered as you're leaving the community. He removed the dwarf podocarpus around the center fountain, which nobody really wanted, and he also doesn't think they're necessary. He revised the large median along the main road, and we did that because we had a number of people with us, and the 3-foot border around that median would not, there's no way to mow that effectively. So we're gonna do a 5-foot sod strip on that median and still be able to accomplish what we need to accomplish with the look of as we revise that. The little triangular island up here that has those scrubby, whatever they
Yeah.
are in them. He would, he thinks the Kunti would get too tall because we said we've got to be careful that there's not a visual impairment there like we had before. So he replaced those with foxtail ferns, and added them in a few other places so it didn't seem like an afterthought, so there was a theme. The black olives, we told them could not be relocated because that was golf course property, so that is a TBD. We will
Okay.
figure out where we're gonna put those, we just aren't gonna leave them where they are.
All right.
And then the options for the gatehouse area, that was the second picture I sent you. We looked at several options for the gatehouse, and his recommendation, as well as the landscape committee, was to take out the crepe myrtles because they don't flower except for 3 to 4 months out of the year. And we talked about moving those somewhere else, and everyone agreed, even the juniper folks, those have been there so long, you're never gonna save them. Once you try and get those
Oh,
roots
I
out of the
see.
ground,
They're gonna die.
that they will not establish anywhere else, so we have to forego them. What everybody really liked and agreed on were these mast trees that we would plant all along for the theme, being in front of the guardhouse. It also wouldn't obstruct their view because they don't get much wider than that, so they could still look up and down and see who's coming in and going out.
Can I just make a comment on those? I had asked, I talked at some length to Truman Hennard about those, because I wanted to replace my magnolia with 3 of them in a tight group. And he said, first of all, they begin to look like telephone poles. And they're not pretty like they are in the picture, that
The red cedars? You're talking about the red cedars?
those are red cedars?
They're red cedars.
Those are sheared red cedars, and those are constantly being trimmed.
They have some trimming, but not, I mean, they have those on other properties, and Brian looked at like.
Is that, okay, is that
Yeah.
how they look though? Because they've got red cedars outside of, I think it's Cielo, and they don't look good.
Yeah.
So I guess I would just say, and a lot of them got either knocked sideways or over during the hurricane because they catch the wind. So I love the look if they can look like that,
Yeah, that
but
was my concern, because, like, back up north, you always create all these beautiful bushes, and then deer come eat the bottoms of that, and you have a cold weather snap, and then all of a sudden you get a little freezer burn, you got a section that's not brown,
Yeah.
and after 2, 3, 4 seasons, they're not this perfect tree, and this is something that needs to be beautifully symmetrical. The
I will
whole-
talk to him again, because he researched about 10 different trees.
Okay,
This is the one that is the most flexible. It will not get blown over during a hurricane. It actually has.
they are native.
And they are native. It should grow well. It may require, he thought it may require a little trimming. We also have the juniper maintenance team with us to weigh in on all of
Okay.
this. So everybody kind of felt this would be, now we still have time. to
That's
redo
the
this
question I
again.
was gonna
Okay,
ask is
yeah.
what was the reasoning behind why Juniper and Brian selected this?
Well, because they're also, if you look at the whole plan, they're also down the whole front entry past the entrance.
Mhm,
There's a grouping of 4 and then a
Mhm.
grouping of 3. And they selected it because we had said we would like a theme tree.
okay,
Sure,
okay.
sure.
We are the Venetian. It would be nice to have a theme tree that looks like the Venetian.
Mhm, mhm.
Otherwise,
Okay.
and then he also put in, if you look behind here, this very big Sylvester in the island where the Christmas
Why
palm.
Oh,
why
yeah.
wouldn't we put red cedars there then?
Well, we're gonna have so many red cedars up here. We could, but he thought it would be nice to have like a statement tree as you come into the community. We actually had a rendition that had the Sylvester up here, but we thought it might be too big for the gatehouse to see around it.
oh, definitely.
And then we could put the red cedars back here. But we all thought that having a statement tree would be a good idea in addition to just all the red cedars.
See, to me, a
So-
Sylvester is a front yard tree, it's not a statement, but that's just me.
Oh, this is the same one he has proposed for the big roundabout. They're huge. He's got them in his
Yeah.
shop, and he showed us pictures of the ones he has. They're huge.
We'll get there.
Can I ask a question? This is more out of just from what I've seen over the past couple of weeks as I've been out golfing. So is there a reason that we're using the St. Augustine grass in the roundabout versus that nice, smooth, like looking golf course grass?
I don't know the answer. I think it's a maintenance issue, but I'm not sure.
Because I'll tell you what,
And it's
some-
also a cost issue.
is it a cost issue?
I
Okay,
know it's a cost issue for sure.
okay,
but That's why we were doing the bahia
Uh-huh.
on the berm,
okay,
just
okay.
because even that's of less cost than the St. Augustine, and then the golf course grass is much more expensive.
Gotcha, because that, man, I'll tell you what, some of those entranceways into the places that I've been in the past couple of weeks are spectacular.
I mean, we can look at it, say for the big roundabout, and say, can you put a different grass in the big
Yeah.
roundabout?
And I'm thinking like the grass that it's not exactly like it, but similar to the grass that's over in front of the golf club right now. And then on the side of it, I don't know if you noticed the grass,
Where they're growing that for
That's
their
where they're
turf.
growing.
where they're growing for the
They're
turf.
growing the
Yeah,
turf.
yeah, where they're growing for the turf, but they also have it in the front of the golf club.
It's something we could take a look at and
I don't know.
definitely
If
ask.
it's cost prohibitive,
You also gotta be careful mixing all the different grasses within the community, because
Sure.
I have
you got
the
Bermuda.
Bermuda growing in it's.
Yeah, a lot
just-
of people do.
And yeah, so we just gotta be careful.
I mean,
how
it's a
we're-
self-contained area. That's why
That's the
I,
one place it might work, because it is self-contained.
correct.
So I can ask them and we can.
Okay.
take a look.
Here's the other
If
problem though
it's
too.
cost
It's not,
prohibitive, then
it's
fine.
not that it's not contained. I mean, it is contained, but when you use the same lawnmower
Well, that,
that you're mowing the other grass to, all of a sudden you're gonna get crossover.
that's
So
right.
It's
That's
like this back here used to be, until they started using a different lawnmower. And now, this is, as much as they put chemical and trying to get that back, you've got to have designated mowers for designated
Well, I don't
areas.
want it looking like crap in 2 years either,
Yeah.
because of cross-contamination. So, but I was just asking.
I can get a price. I mean, doesn't hurt to ask.
And you have to use a separate lawnmower.
So, and I may be the lone voice on this, but, I think on the big circle, I don't want to have any large tree there, because I think it obstructs the view of the River Club. We have a beautiful building, and if we put a bunch of red,
Wait, which red circle are you talking?
the giant circle outside the
Not
River
this
Club.
one.
Not this one.
This
I think,
one or
well,
the big one?
I think neither one should have trees.
This one
in it,
won't have a tree because we can't. put a
Right.
tree.
because of the disease, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't put it,
But the big one, he does have, the one that's on the
Yeah.
back of the plan is actually
Yeah.
the one they have growing,
Right.
which is gigantic.
because if you sit, well, probably shouldn't sit there, but I took my golf cart, I sat there for a moment and looked. I think, in my opinion, we could make a mistake by blocking the view of the River Club, coming around the circle with something. Why would we block the view of the club? It's a beautiful
I think that's
building.
fine, and the landscape committee talked about that just a little bit, and we can have them revise that to maybe have tiered planting, something that isn't
Yeah.
tall, that doesn't block the
Because
view.
my view would be not to put anything there, and I'm gonna just go on record here. Those medules, I know they're old and we should kill old plants, but they're all crooked, they look dog-eared and sad, and I think if we wanna put medules there, let's please replace them with new, healthy specimens and not ones that look like they've been through half a
That's
dozen
my feeling.
hurricanes.
So now you're now talking about the big one.
The
on
big
the
circle.
road.
If you wanna do 3 on each side, my personal view would be to replace them with something that looks nice rather than pickup sticks, which is what they look like right now.
Yes, I mean, I know they can last for another 50 years, but we want,
Yes.
they're only gonna get 50 years worse looking than they are now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, okay, and this will be a place where I think the landscape committee and you guys may differ.
That's okay.
Because
Okay.
they believe that they should stay, as does the landscape architect, and
I'd like to ask,
I got
well, I mean, yeah, I hear you.
so I mean, yeah, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
without voting, I'm just.
Yeah, no,
This will be one of those divergent
I get it.
issues.
I'd like to hear the rationale against it. I mean, it's a conversation.
yeah.
Because
Okay.
they're actually, they may be a little crooked, but they're beautiful, big, stately trees is what most people would say, but that actually the people in the landscape committee would say. I don't know, it depends, I think for me, it depends on what else is in the circle. If the circle is as plain as it is now, the trees are obviously, a little worn. If the rest of that roundabout is beautified, I don't think you will see all of and they're the only thing you have to look at right now.
Well, here's what I'd say about that roundabout, is that I've lived here 8 years and it's never looked beautified. So I think at some point, it's just my one lone opinion.
And the star
Maybe
design,
we're better
and the
off
star
with
design
just-
looks great from above, but the circle is a little bit higher up than everything else, and so you're never
Looking at junk.
you're never gonna see
What's-
you're never gonna see any of that star design. The center circle didn't have had a star design up
But
there.
that was just showing tiered, that wasn't intended to.
Oh, I see what you're looking at, Reggie, I can't get my finger on that. So what would be the next step then?
Well, what I would like to do is I will take the comments back about different grass in the roundabout, question about research on trees to make sure we're doing the right thing. I would like to have Juniper bid this because right now my
Mhm.
concern is I have no bloody idea
Yeah.
what we're
Yeah,
talking about
That's a
here.
good point.
Are we talking about 100,000 or 400,000? I have
Right.
no clue.
Right.
So the other thing, the last thing I didn't say, and I need to say this out loud, is at the very beginning, he has a row of hedges along
Oh,
the
yeah.
entryway.
Was it
Um,
Ixora or that was the Hawthorne?
the hawthorn.
Oh,
We wanted to pull that. We told him to pull
Absolutely.
it out. Cause I
Okay.
don't, I actually either we're gonna have a fence or we're gonna leave it open so we can
Right.
see the golf course.
Right,
I think it's silly to put a hedge in and so does
Right.
everybody else, so we're pulling that, that was the last.
okay, great.
So I would like to go ahead and give Juniper
I think it's a good
several
idea.
weeks to give us like an estimate on this, so we know what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
I think we should just, do it as is and then we can continue to talk about it. If
Exactly.
you have to do it
We
in
can
parallel,
continue
it's
to-
not gonna
Right.
get
No,
done.
no, that's why I
Yeah.
wanna go
Yeah,
forward
yeah.
with pricing and see where we're
Are
at.
you all right with that?
I'm perfectly fine with
Okay,
that,
cool.
yeah.
Thank you so much
We need to have
for
an idea
that.
what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
And they don't have to go crazy with, I would tell them, don't even go crazy with getting down to the last dollar, because we're gonna obviously
You
discuss
said
it
you're gonna
anyway.
haggle.
Of course, we're gonna haggle, but I'm saying, but we don't need them to go to the point, because we're still in the midst of deciding what we want. So if they can get us an 85% guesstimate,
I'll tell them to give us an estimate. I mean, I'm sure
yeah,
they'll,
okay.
I'm sure they'll do that. They're gonna price what they have on the lot right
Okay.
now,
Yeah.
which is gonna be different than when we do it anyway.
Right.
So, but they'll
All
just
right.
price what they
okay.
have.
Because I just
And,
didn't wanna have them spend it in the, an inordinate amount of time and work on this, because
Right,
the quicker we get it back, the quicker we can react to it.
right, okay.
And I also wanna point out that the bullnoses are all replanted. The
who?
The flowers, the flower.
Oh,
location.
okay, got it.
They're all
Okay.
replanted, and some people said to me, well, the plants are tiny, they are. This rotation, correct me if I'm wrong, Keith, was less than half of what we used to pay. And they planted a lot of plants.
great.
So as those start coming in,
Oh, they'll be beautiful, yeah.
they'll be
Okay.
beautiful.
The irrigation's all working at
Okay.
all those locations. The front fountain is blowing water. In fact, I told him, I said, it's too high, let's bring it down just a tad.
If you can't see the sun.
Okay.
Okay, so that's-
And if we could also just, on these plants, to get, I don't want gallon sizes again. Could we get like heights of some of these plants? Like,
he has that in his plans, and so, and when we get the proposal, it will be with size.
Okay,
So we'll
perfect.
look at that as well.
Yeah, because the gallons are,
Again, the other thing is, the cul-de-sac work will begin. They have crews standing by ready to start this week. So we have
Okay.
27 cul-de-sacs. We had approved to go forward with the cul-de-sacs months.
Yes.
With like a not to exceed the
Yes.
Thackeray project.
Right.
Their bid came in lower than what we were getting from Blue Sky. And so, so I gave it to Jill actually
Okay.
to sign off on it. So we're way under that number, which will make the reserve committee very happy. And it'll get replanted, including the one on Torcello, which they replanted it and didn't check the irrigation. We do have, they're gonna be a big irrigation proposal coming forward that Keith will probably present at the next meeting. Because each of the cul-de-sacs has got, they're basically rotting. They're little battery operated timers.
Right.
And so they have a proposal to put in different timers and maintenance before was just if it broke, it got fixed. The maintenance we're asking for now is, can we fix it so it lasts a bit longer and that we can.
Well,
it took-
These cul-de-sacs, they've been, 20 years.
Yeah,
And so, and then with the growth that's in these cul-de-sacs, water wasn't really, until we started tearing them all out. They didn't need as much water, and so they weren't looked at that much. And so, LMP did manage by crisis in a lot of our cul-de-sacs, when it comes to irrigation. So, it'll be, we're looking at 20-year-old monitors that are going to have to be changed out. So
Cool.
and they've actually reviewed all the cul-de-sacs already, so they know what they need to do and they will be sending a proposal.
Okay.
But the good news is, it will all come in within
Yeah.
what we
What
had
was that?
originally
Nice.
not to exceed.
Yeah.
I think our
Nice.
not to exceed was like 100 because that's what we put aside.
Yeah.
And that's what we got. So this
That'd
is
be
very much lower.
Cool.
how much fun?
This is 37,000.
Less than half.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Should we stay with, if we're done with that, we can maybe stay with some landscape stuff? I wanted to ask Keith, I think I signed off on the sod.
You did. It's
thing.
going back to
Okay.
Sergio this morning.
Okay,
We're still waiting to pull the trigger on the front we need the water restrictions to be gone. About when does that happen?
when it rains?
Yeah, but
what happened?
the water restrictions, April, May.
Oh, when I'm changing everything back over? the 1st of April is when wet check goes back to 2 days a week. I mean, they can pull it. We're fine. We were never really we did have a drought going on, and we do, but that
It's fine.
restriction really didn't have much to do with us. Okay?
I will get a hold of Wyatt then and say, let's move. We'll start the replanting and the siding on Laurel Road and get that done.
Great,
The
awesome.
bougainvilleas that were pulled down from the front monument, are those planning to go back up, or? I think it looks so much cleaner.
It does.
I do too.
There is a 50-50 mix in this community, because I've gotten a number
I know.
of people stop me and go, you saved them, right? And I'm like,
I've
oh,
heard
no.
that, I've
You
heard that,
can't,
too.
you can't.
I've heard that
You
too.
can't.
And I
but-
responded to the emails and said, no,
Okay.
you cannot save, we're not saving them, we're repainting the monument, the trellises will come down, there's a new design in process.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that's where I left it.
If anything, if you want to take those, those 3 trees that you're putting in front, if you want to put smaller ones on the side, that look a little bit more, no, they won't fit in that space.
It won't fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you don't do a vine, you can't
Less
put
is
anything
more.
there. Yeah, no, I agree. I like
Less-
it. I
less
think
is
it
more.
looks,
I like it with
it's
that.
cleaner, yes.
I'm drawing a complete blank. Where did we get to on the tree trimming? There was Andy was doing a contract.
We got the
right?
contract. I forwarded it to Green Toppers last Thursday
Okay,
and talked to them, and we should have it here
okay.
next couple days.
Awesome.
Okay, so since we're on beautification, I'm thinking monuments. I think, so the test ones look great. And I think the estimate was what, 11 and change?
I've got it right here. It's 11 for the other ones to be done, 11,995.
And does that include the fountain in front?
Yes.
Okay.
What color am I painting the lions? Ooh.
Throw it out there.
There it
Throw it
is.
out there.
Shouldn't we be-
Throw that out.
Shouldn't we, I don't think we can, I actually think they're more welded up there than we all.
It would be
They're
a,
not gonna come off without destroying pieces of that monument, so I would say paint them the darker color of
Yeah,
how we're repainting the
I think you're
monument.
right. That's a good idea.
Because you don't wanna
Yeah.
paint them white.
You don't want to, because then they'll
No.
stand
You've
out.
got
It'd
that
be too
darker
much, it'd be
tan,
way too
that
much
darker
white.
tan color.
Heaven
I
forbid
think
they
the
stand
darker
out.
tan.
Yeah.
When I paint my house, I'm gonna have you over to do my stuff, because I'm clueless on this thing.
Hey, by the POA has a new book of colors,
Yeah.
there's like 80 combinations.
Oh, great.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, good.
But there's no, blues, green, I looked through it, there's no blues, greens, or oranges. It's
Great.
all
There's-
kind of,
Good.
Yeah, there's
Awesome.
one sort of gray.
it's sort of gray green, it's
Okay.
very
Cool.
light.
All right.
Okay, but you're lots of combos.
Cool.
There's
So,
actually 240 combinations in that.
thank you.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
No one needs that many combinations.
So on-
Nobody's making decisions on.
So on the monuments then, I don't think we did a not to exceed. I don't think
For the
we
painting.
approved it. So what I'd like to propose is that, because it's fairly close to my limit, your limit, that we go ahead and do it and then ratify it at the next, we'll go on I'll put it on the agenda for the
Perfect.
13th, but
Just make sure they don't get confused and paint the lines white.
It only took me almost a year to convince you guys that it would look so much better.
well, but we got there. You know, it's like my calculus professor used to say, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So, darker tan, okay. You got that, Keith?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool.
Don't paint the white.
Don't pay nothing. Maybe I can just raise, I got an email from Rick Shopiker over the weekend about the raised manholes. I think you
I
might have
put that,
actually
yes.
raised that.
Yes.
So, Rick got back to me and said that, so there are 13 that are really out of spec, and they'd be $750 a piece to fix them. So that comes in just under $10,000. So I like the idea of it, but I'm wondering if we should, I'm sure, I would think it would come from reserves, but I'm wondering if we should wait to talk to Ken about that.
I think wait till the next
Yeah,
meeting.
let's,
We
yeah,
need to
I think we need
Yeah.
to see, well, we got so many other things happening and coming.
So I'll put that on the agenda
But
for
I
the
mean,
13th.
they do need to, they are getting worse.
They They are.
I know, I drive around them now, I like
Yeah.
center them, and
Yeah, and that's probably driving up, sorry, you're driving around and next thing you know, somebody's coming straight at you and it's,
Well, and if you hit them on the
well, I
golf
drive
cart.
closer to the
Oh.
other side, and so I scare my husband, because he's like, you're gonna hit a real lot.
yeah, if you hit them on the golf cart, yeah, I did not realize that I was on the golf cart one time, I was off the golf cart.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
big.
They're bad,
Ooh.
they're bad.
Ooh, okay. And then speaking of the April meeting, Belinda had contacted me when we were talking about remember the insurance discussion regarding, what Hampton's paying versus what we're paying. We were gonna have Aegis in to talk about
Yes.
how we can manage it. Belinda's gonna organize that for one of the 2 meetings in April, probably the
Great.
first one, so I just wanted to make you
Yeah, and it's
aware
also
of
a
that.
conversation with, about us actually covered, we should know what our coverage actually is.
Yeah, exactly. So she needs to make sure that there's a guy by the name, I think it's Alex Jimenez, who's the expert within the Aegis.
That's fine.
Yeah, so that'll be on the 13th. And then since I'm on a roll, I guess, I wanted to mention, there was a back and forth that Keith was included with Mary Ralph Foster and Joe Brown, who worked a number of traffic things at the gate. I think both of you may have as well, about speed bumps, for safety for people at the guardhouse. So I think there's a question of temporary versus permanent safety. So when we start to talk about speed bumps, et cetera, somebody had suggested that we do one for the visitor gate on the entry, entry visitor side. To me, it would have to be before the turnaround, right? Because it can't be right in front of the guard shack. It's risky. So I just wanted to float that idea out there. Maybe think about it as you drive by.
So people are not slowing down at the gate, is that?
Apparently they're.
I thought this was more to do with, for.
Safety during hurricanes.
During hurricanes,
Yeah.
not right now, because we
Get
really don't.
temporary.
You can buy those temporary
Yes.
speed
So-
bumps and
so
slow them
if-
down if you
So
need to.
if we do that, because there was another email from Joe Brown this morning about should we make it permanent? Are you all okay if we spend $200 or $300 from the, general, we figure out where to go with Keith to just go ahead and get a couple of temporary
Sure.
bumps, they're
Yes.
$89 a piece, so
Absolutely.
I
Yes,
just wanted you all to
yeah, just so they
know
would
that
have
we're
them.
talking
No
about
pressure,
it.
yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
Yep.
Do you want to do the AC units? Are we done with like non-river club stuff? Does anybody have any non-river
Well,
club?
the AC units I have, I didn't bring anything for the AC
I
units
have
because we didn't,
Is it urgent? I guess that maybe that's a Greg
Well,
question. but-
well, we
Yeah.
can't vote on it.
No,
No,
but I wondered if we needed to discuss it. This is
Which,
what I had
which,
thought.
which ones,
gotten.
are
This is
these,
the-
these are, no, these, yeah, these, yeah,
$22,000.
these are the two old units, yeah. These are the two units that are in the back.
Mhm.
One's here and the other is in the back. They do need to get replaced. They are starting to fail, leak, whatever. It's.
when you say the back, are you talking in the fitness studio, that direction,
No,
or?
it's-
One's in
it's
here,
like
one's in the
cellar.
other banquet room, and I have all three proposals if you'd like to see them.
Well, we have the cheapest one. We've got
Okay.
this one, so we've got the
In here and then the
22,000,
other
yeah.
banquet room.
So,
So
yeah.
the 22,000 is the best price we've gotten. Everybody agreed, I know Ray's left, but Ray agreed. Juliet, who's also on the committee, who is worked for Johnson Controls, is already familiar with systems. The two of those both said that system is this is fine, it's as good as anything else. It's done right. The only addition to that might be if the vendor finds out that they can't put it up there the way they thought, there might be the $2,000 additional to
Okay.
have the GC come back in and
But you said
reconfigure
three.
it.
You said 3 ACs.
Two.
Oh, two, okay.
We've got three
Yeah.
quotes.
Oh, oh, oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
misunderstood.
Three quotes, two
Okay.
ACs, and then the $1,900 is going to be spent because it has to be cut and replastered and then new
Okay.
entry door.
Gotcha.
So I think the AC unit is 20, I have it.
It's 22.5.
So,
But that includes the drywall.
okay,
Yes.
so we can put that on the agenda for the 13th, and then we want to include the bids in the board package, but yeah,
Yes.
okay.
So of the vendors, which is recommended by Juliet? Because I know she's got extensive
Yeah,
HVAC experience,
it's-
that's her life.
Yeah, it's I don't have a quote, so I don't have it in front of me.
I mean, she's gotta have a recommended vendor, right?
Well, we went to several vendors and
Okay,
the vendor that we originally looked at, several of them are too far away. So they're paying all those travel charges, so you get involved in all the travel.
okay, that's not the question I asked.
Let me tell you,
Can I just know who's Juliet's preferred vendor is?
B&I.
B&I, thank you.
Okay, and
But that's not
and here's how, what's that?
But that's not who's doing the work, that's not who the quote is from.
There's 3 quotes. The one that she wants us to go with is B&I. Our original contractor, our standard contractor is IC Mechanical.
Right.
Okay.
IC Mechanical came in very high.
Okay,
We went to B&I. B&I came in fairly high as well. Ray did some research, found True Blue. True Blue was like units, 2 5-ton units. True Blue came in lower. I had a conversation with Juliet and she said she was the one who reached out to somebody from B&I.
Uh-huh.
And she would like us, even though we found True Blue that was lower with the same mechanical equipment and closer by, she asked if we would just go back to B&I and see if they would do a matching for the quote that we got.
okay,
So B&I issued a second quote and came down to almost the same as,
Okay.
I True Blue.
nice.
I did not hear that.
so we're going with B&I, and that is who Juliet recommended, and she
Thank
has a
you.
rapport with.
And he's haggle.
I did not hear, yeah, it does, but I did not hear that, okay.
I mean,
All right.
I just trust Juliet with
No,
her
absolutely.
extensive
That's- yeah.
experience, that's why I wanted to know
Yeah.
her vendor choice, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Like I said, I missed
Uh-huh.
that last, I thought the last I heard, last meeting was True Blue.
Okay.
Julie had that sidebar confidential because she didn't want to ruffle any feathers
Makes sense, okay.
and go back and give them a
Yeah.
opportunity to compare.
Sure, understood.
Yeah, okay, cool. Let's see, so anybody, I'm continually talking, does anybody else, or should I keep going?
Well, you keep going, I
Keep
have
going.
I got a lot of stuff.
I mean,
got
if
a
you
lot of
want,
stuff
if you want to
do,
take a
but-
pause, I can,
Yeah, I'm gonna take a pause.
okay, so I'm gonna let everybody know that I do have the Bocce Court, workforce charter in place. Is it something that you as a board needs to approve, or?
I think we approved it last time when we said use the dog park as a
Okay.
template, which you did.
I did.
You stayed right in line, so I
Yes.
think you're good to go.
Yeah, so okay, so then I'm good to go with that. My next concern is the timing of this, because we're rolling into summer and it's gonna be a 6-month task force. What's your all opinion on whether I should pause this until the fall or start working with the task force in the summer when we might not have a full team?
I was just gonna say, is your concern that people are leaving?
Mhm.
Isn't that something you can, I mean,
Can people call in?
you can call in because you don't have to have a quorum for the task.
No, I
force.
think we do. Do we need to send?
No,
No, we
it's not
don't.
an
Because you're
official.
not voting on anything.
No, we
Okay.
never had to have a quorum for
Okay.
the solid work.
So
Okay.
people can still participate. In fact, you may, because you're operating through the summer, you may want to consider increasing the number on the charter. So if people can attend, because you've
So
got
like
5, like maybe go to 7.
7?
Because that
seven
way
with
if people
minimum.
can't call in, you at least aren't gonna have 2 people talking.
Okay, okay.
I mean, that's,
I'll change it because it says 5 or 7 with a minimum of 2 who don't want it. So I'll change it to 7 with a minimum of 3 who do not want it. Okay,
Okay.
all right. Or whatever the verbiage is in there. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Cool, all right. Did you have anything else?
No, ma'am.
Well, there was.
Well, but I think that's,
Okay,
yeah.
oh, all
Yeah,
right,
I got
okay.
a lot of that for me.
Yeah.
So that's my.
No, that's
All
FPAC.
right, so I have a couple
FPAC.
more fast ones, I think. So maybe the first one is, I had back and forth with Jamie Selby about doing the 6-month review for Hampton, and April's gonna be somewhat problematic because of board meetings he has, so we're gonna look at May. So I just wanted to let you know that
Okay.
that's what's gonna happen there. Maybe also I can mention here, I think this will be quick. I had mentioned at the last board meeting, the LaSalle work group was gonna be contacting you to set up individual meetings to discuss, kind of where we've gotten to, et cetera, give you some more additional information. So that's yet to happen. It's coming. It just hasn't happened yet. And maybe just one other thing, which is, one of the things we're gonna need to think about once the board takes the information and we can then discuss the range of the number that we would need in order to do the project. We're gonna need to ask either the entire Reserve Finance Committee or someone on the Finance Committee to look at what the options would be, because I think there are a range of, how do we fund, assuming we go forward, how do we fund what would need to be funded by the residents? So.
Well, I also think before you even discuss the LaSalle, you also have to look at, and it's not just LaSalle as
Right,
a separate entity.
Right.
It's,
locker room stuff,
or
Yeah.
whatever LaSalle potentially touches and may touch and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of,
Well, and that's one of the
there's a lot of
reasons,
pieces here that we need to,
right,
just to say, okay, LaSalle
Right.
is $700,000, whatever, $1 million, whatever,
Right.
whatever numbers.
right,
Okay, but we didn't discuss what's
Right.
happening in this room
right,
or the
exactly.
hallway or whatever else. And can we just do LaSalle exclusive of those?
Right.
And that's really. an
Can we
architect.
phase it? Yeah.
Or,
No,
or do
yeah.
we say that door, the fire door is the divider, and we don't go into the locker room area, and we work this way? The fire door right on the other side of the
Right,
bathroom.
but then equally, if we're gonna go to the well. do
No,
we
I
go
agree.
right? So,
Right,
but,
yeah,
so
if
but
we go
this
to the
is,
well, we go to the
so, but
well,
this
yes.
is part of the reason, that this way, individually, when you guys have had the chance to digest the information and we get everybody's, because we can't discuss it, the team, separate from me, will put together a summary, and then we can set aside a chunk of time to discuss it, and also next steps. One of the most critical is, what are the options to fund it? So,
Well, and they'll be giving us just a summary of findings, right?
Right.
No.
no recommendations, absolutely not, no. And so one of the reasons I'm sort of spouting this about the Reserve Finance Committee is, even though Ken's not here, I'm sure he'll watch the replay. So, and Byron is here.
Yeah.
Hello, Byron, I knew that. So, we can hopefully get some things going in parallel so that we don't lose momentum, which is a concern of the group. So,
I totally agree, because actually when I was going over my notes for the community association meeting, so it's been a year,
yeah.
I talked about it at last year's. I did not talk about it this year because I didn't have an update.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think it's important that I
It
agree.
is.
We need to keep it moving.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So the next thing that'll happen then is you're gonna hear from Nancy and or Bob about, individual slots, and then they're gonna share more information with you, and then we'll congeal it at a future board meeting. So that's that. I did want to raise I didn't push the survey out yet, and it's related to LaSalle Work Group, and let me tell you why. Because you may recall there was a question that we slightly changed in the survey to go out that said, how supportive would you be of the following changes, iterating LaSalle indoor bar, back patio, updating main dining room, those three things. Following changes, understanding your assessment could be impacted. And the concern is, it's very open-ended. It could scare people.
You think so?
Yes.
I think it's a fair question to ask. I don't know if it would, I'm just trying to take a look at it from my perspective. My perspective is, okay, they want to make these changes, and we're going to infuse it could cost us more money, but we're going to end up with something better at the end of the day. I don't know.
They were thinking, the concern came regarding, it doesn't say how much, is it a
Understood.
one-time, is it overtime, is it forever?
You know,
And I think anybody who's thinking about it would have to think, if you're doing something, there's always gonna be a cost associated
Rich,
to
can
it.
you talk into your mic if you're gonna?
I'm sorry, I would just assume that anybody would think that if we're going to do a renovation to the club, there would have to be some level of cost associated to it. I would think that would be.
but I don't think people will automatically make the leap that it's gonna be an additional cost to them. So I think it's good to have in there, but maybe we could say something like, may involve a one-time assessment. I would-
Overtime.
Or
Yeah.
an overtime assessment. And then the other reason I wanted to see it is I think you should put an open comment at the bottom of that.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
What
idea.
better way to get people to comment on whether or not they like this idea? And that'll give us a lot to read.
I'll put an additional, yeah.
Because
okay.
it'll give us an idea of what people are thinking.
Yeah,
So then my question to you is, because, we're already somewhat delayed with the survey, do you want to see this and digest it as a group when Ken can be included one more time?
No.
Or do we
I
just
think
get
No,
it
I'm
out?
fine.
you know,
Just get it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I think-
understanding
yeah.
that your assessment,
may increase.
understanding,
There
there may be,
be an additional assessment depending upon the construction, level of construction.
okay.
Because you are gonna get people who say, we think it should be redone, but we don't want an assessment. Or,
Or don't we have money, haven't you been putting money
Haven't you been
aside?
putting money aside? At least that will give us an idea of where people's heads are.
Okay.
Even so that when we respond and have discussions, we have a better idea.
Okay, fair enough, okay, I have what I need then, that's great. Ooh, flying, we're absolutely flying along. Okay, so I did that, then maybe I'll jump in and say, Greg and I had a discussion regarding, a realtor who had come by with a cameraman. This was on Thursday when we had the lunch, the ladies' lunch, the cameraman was already in the club, I think, setting up, and our very alert receptionist said, "Hello, can I help you?" And I think there are a fair amount of realtors who are coming in. So I think in general, maybe I would say two things. Maybe I'm not sure we need a rule on it, but I think maybe some board direction to Greg that, in general, realtors should always ask for an appointment before they come in. And that's the board policy is, the board has directed that, it's at the discretion of the River Club manager when this happens. Because one of the things I detected in snooping around online is that, to just, for example, take a picture of the bar, if there are 3 people sitting there, there actually could be a copyright violation of the people who are sitting there in the bar who have not had either had their images blurred out or gotten their permission to take the pictures. So
It's my understanding we're not allowed to have them come in and take pictures while there's residents here.
and I think
That's
we should,
appropriate.
yeah.
So then we went to the calendar and started to look at when are there not residents here?
1 a.m.
Would it make sense if we had pictures taken? So we can then
yes.
submit, so we can then
Yes.
provide them to realtors and whatever?
Jill and I talked about getting a folder with stock pictures
Good
that we
idea.
could put in that realtors could access.
Yes.
Because, we should have all nice new pictures taken of the building.
Of the building.
Yes,
Since it's been painted
and
and-
drone photo, and this
Yeah.
is, I think I mentioned that the leadership group that Barbara and Mark Fayford and Tom Jones from the CA and I had. There's a couple extras up here if anybody wants to look at it or grab one. But this is a 2-page brochure that is ready now that is and has been sent to all the resident realtors that I can think of, about 15 in here. So to help realtors, and in fact, we handed out a couple. I happened to be up here giving a stack to Alexandra, and a realtor came in looking at 173 Portofino. So to your point, Rich, maybe photos, drone footage, and almost like a press kit, where we could send
And also,
realtors.
and also have it available on the website, because this is.
That's what we would do, is
and
make
it's
it
a front and
available,
back of
make it
the front and back
available
of house
on
website, so the
on the
website should be
website.
our marketing.
Yeah, so, because I have to say, when we finished it as a group and sent it around to the realtors and said, if this is this a 10 for you in terms of what you need? And if it's not, what would you need? Most of the realtors came back and said 10, but Nicole and Ann, God bless their hearts, came back, I shouldn't put it that way, thank God. They came back and said, well, you left out natural gas, which is something
That's
we're asked
huge.
all the
Yep.
time. And Sharon Graham came back and said, make sure it says golf cart friendly. And there were a couple other bits and pieces, distances to airports.
And mail to your mailbox in front of your house versus, that's a
Yeah,
huge one.
versus the clusters.
Yeah, and it's
Yep.
not on there, but
Individual mailboxes.
one thing we could include, which would also maybe be helpful for residents, are some FAQs. And it's easy enough to edit this, and it does have a disclaimer at the bottom and makes clear the golf club is optional.
Okay.
So,
I love this. And I
This
love,
is fabulous.
I love this part back here because
Yeah.
I can, when people say to me, oh yeah, we couldn't go there because of CDD fees, I go, okay, you want to talk about that just a little bit? Because if you look at your HOA
Yeah.
versus our POA and CDD, it's
Yeah.
going to be the same.
Less than $500 a month.
Yeah, but
This is less than.
but this is not including HOA fees, so it's.
no, but it makes clear in there
Right.
that if you're in a maintenance provided neighborhood, additional costs
Right.
apply.
Exactly.
And because every home is a little bit different based on that one element of the assessment
Yes,
compilation.
but I mean, access, proximity to the hospital, proximity to 75,
And it's all,
those are huge.
yeah, it's there. So to your point, Rich, and hopefully to make things easier in the realtor world, and we can even put on there, please, contact the River Club, in advance of showing up with any camera equipment. We could say it differently. And I think we can make this really simple, but effective and to help, not only to help people who are trying to sell houses, sell them, but I think it's also helpful for residents, because I think you, Diana, had mentioned, sometimes family shows up and they're interested to look, but there's nothing you can give them other than the old WCI roadmap, right?
Right.
80 years ago.
I would just take out the word on the Comcast bulk contract. I would just put Comcast. People are gonna bulk contract will have to pay for that.
This is final, so I'm not
Oh.
thinking it, sorry.
Well, we got,
Right now.
well, we gotta change the picture on the front. We're gonna be painting it tomorrow.
Well, there you go.
So,
And the Lions.
and Lions, so it's getting, so we need.
Version 2 down the road. Jill has other things
Don't
to
have to
do.
step on the new flowers.
Yeah, really, yeah.
Yeah,
So, okay,
really.
so we did that. So I think one other final thing, maybe I just wanted to share with you ahead of budget, and again, Greg and I had put our heads together. And I sent this to you yesterday, I don't know if you want a printed copy, but I wanted us just to think about, do you want a copy?
I have one.
You have it, okay. The ideas of, I want to just say this, we moved here 8 years ago, and 8 years ago, the Tiki was not renovated. It was a sad little concrete block building that was sometimes open and was in a rough state of repair. And over time, we've had what I would describe as mission creep in terms of the number of hours that we're open, and it's great because it's making people very happy and bringing people back to the club. But for myself personally, I had a budget I wanted to put down onto paper how many hours we're open, because as an example, if I'm recalling correctly, and I'm looking at people who will probably remember, we weren't open for lunch in the summer inside.
Yeah, that's true.
And we were open essentially for 4 meals a day.
Mhm.
Dinner, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We may have been open for lunch at the Tiki, but I'm not sure, at least in season, and then for brunch. So it was those 4 meals. And now we're, in some cases with the Tiki, if you count beverages only, we're open 7 days a week.
Mhm.
So, and I'm not in any way saying I'm against that, but I think we should have a realistic look at, if we're gonna be open, what is that gonna cost us if it's gonna be run properly? Because it does increase people using the bathrooms and making them not tidy, and toilet paper rolls, and people can get into the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Which they shouldn't be.
Which they shouldn't be, et cetera. So for myself only, I had wanted to look at this and I was like, a reception is another thing. In 2023, I think the first year you and I were on board, reception is now 7 days a week. It was 5. And I think it's actually a good thing. But it's also something I think we should talk about, which is expectations of the people at the front desk, and what we're asking them to do. So anyway, I wanted you to all to understand, which I couldn't put in the email, why I did this, because Greg and I spend a whole lot of time
I think this
talking
is,
about expectations.
yeah, this is, and I don't know if you want to dive into this conversation right now or you want to back burner this. I don't know how you feel about it because I have a lot of thoughts and, because I've been thinking about this as well. When I saw somebody come into the fitness center at 4:15 on Thursday morning, I said to myself, what do we need to do to make sure these types of things don't happen if we're open it from 5:30 to 11? You know, do we need to change the pro shop to a card key so we don't have to worry about the security folks opening and unlocking the doors, and if they open them, is somebody waiting? The whole situation, the whole 9 yards, and then the liability exposure, everything. So I don't know where you want to go, if you want to talk about this now, or you want to.
Well, how do you all feel? I've been talking enough. Cheryl, Rich,
I mean, I think
Greg.
this has huge, I mean, I looked at this and just thought of the budget implications.
I did
So,
too,
yeah,
and that's where my head went as well.
It's a good visual to go, yeah, we got to figure this out, and we have to figure out if this is the kind of club we want to be.
Right,
And then I agree with you on, you can actually get into the gym almost anytime.
right.
So can we turn off the key cards at certain hours of the day? that
I
they
thought
don't
we
work?
did. I thought we had turned it off so that the pool gates weren't opening until 7:30. They were locking at 9 o'clock. I know we had this conversation.
But they don't,
I don't think that we actually pulled the trigger. We asked about it,
Yeah,
and it can be done, but I don't know if we had actually, you all pulled the trigger
I think
to
we did.
say, vote on it, okay?
I think so too.
I
thought
think
did
we
vote on
voted
it.
on it.
I think it's board direction. Yeah.
But I do think if I can
And
go
if
back
not,
and look.
and if not, let's.
No, well, we can't do it right now, but I will go back and look. I am like
I don't
95%
even think you
confident.
need to. I think we just need to say,
That's procedural.
go,
Yes,
it's procedural.
Procedural thing.
So the pool is closed at 7:30,
Pool opens at 7:35.
opens at 7:30.
No, 7:25.
Yeah,
7:25 a.m. And those gates lock at 9 o'clock at night.
We did talk about that, yeah.
And
You can still exit, you just can't.
you just
Right,
can't get,
right.
right. So, and then, I don't know if we necessarily talked about the fitness center, but I always thought the hours were 5:30 a.m. to 11 p.m.
That sounds right. But I asked Keith, just so you wouldn't know this, but I asked Keith to get with Paul Savage and find out how many people are coming in, say, between 9 and 11, and it's 1 or 2 people. So,
And there you go.
I haven't been. Shame on me. No, but when I do go, I go during the day.
Okay,
I mean, as a female alone, there's no way I'd walk behind this building at 10:30 at night. I just wouldn't do it.
I know. If we change the hours operationally till 9 o'clock at night, I'd be okay with that as well. I mean.
There was nobody on Tuesday, when Paul looked, it was Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and it was less than 1. There was one day that there was, I guess, 3 people overall.
And it was at what times?
After 9.
It was after 9.
After nine.
Yeah, I think 9 o'clock is a good closing time,
I
because
do
this
too.
community, I walk my dog after 9, there's nobody else.
Right.
I mean,
Well-
except the guard car.
And what that lets us do is lock the pool gates, because a corollary concern I have is
Yes.
you go through there to get to the gym. So
Yes.
I think, we can always choose to put a swipe block on the side door there, but, by the tennis office. But I think what we would want to do is in this, operational email that goes up with the hours, I think we should also probably have the fitness center hours and the pool hours on that same email. And maybe even say, red letters, new, or we
So,
even let people know.
I have a question. So if fitness center's open 5:30 to 9, how do they get in at 5:30?
The tennis shop door is unlocked, but I will tell you this, what I have seen, from checking some information is they've been unlocking it by 4:13, maybe a little bit before that, and there's somebody waiting at that door to get into the fitness center. So what I've seen is the guard scan his card to get into the fitness center to make sure
I see.
everything's okay.
No,
And
that's
then 2 minutes later, I see a resident scan
Okay.
coming in at 4:15.
Does it show you the name? Because maybe
Yes.
we can just let that person
Yes,
know,
oh, it's
listen,
more
we're
than one.
changing.
So that one
Okay.
started at 4:15, then there was one at 4:27, then there was one at 4:44, and then there was one at 4:55.
So this is actually, that's a good thing though, because does that mean we need to change the hours to 4:30? I mean, are people going to work so early that they need
This
to get
isn't
into
people
the gym? Oh, this is retirees.
Well, and you need to ask the question.
These are retirees who can't sleep.
Can you talk
Got
about
it.
Greg, because Greg and I, I'm sure he's probably talked to you too, but Greg and I talked about this because of the situation with the universal machine.
Yes,
What's your view?
I would love to hear your
Please.
opinion.
My opinion is you open yourself up to a lot of liability and exposure when there's no employees on property for the, I mean, if the way it is now, it should just be 24-hour gym. Because
And, yeah, and I know.
that sounds silly when I say it, right? But that's almost what it is.
Right.
I mean, right now, there's about 4 or 5 hours out of a day that, and I don't even know, because I haven't done an audit and gone back to see if there's someone coming in at 2 in the morning. I've only been watching it for the last couple weeks because we fixed the closed circuit security issue. So it has a beat that goes off. So when I check the day, I can see what time. And I've seen as early as 4:13 in the last week, with as many as 4 or 5 people in here before 5.
Yep.
My opinion would be,
That's what I've seen.
well, and then I want to piggyback on the hours of the pool operation. So the signage out front, we changed the signage. I coordinate with the pool guy to follow the Florida statute, 30 minutes after sunrise, 30 minutes before sunset. So the signage is proper for allowing people to swim in the pool in accordance with the Florida statute. So how we would change that specific lock to access that gate, I think it's as long as it's 30 minutes before the earliest sunrise would be fine.
7:25 then would work.
Something like that, just for that swipe part.
Yeah.
But I think communicating on the weekly and putting the hours of operation forth, and I know I didn't answer your question because I'm a little hesitant to answer it. Because I know
Fair enough.
There's gonna be people that I've been exercising at 5:30 AM for years.
So what time does Matt and Michael get here?
6:30 is when it's typically the court maintenance person is here at 6:30 every day.
Okay,
But the court maintenance spends its first 2 hours
Sure,
dragging
absolutely.
the court. So
So
if
they're not
there
gonna
is an
know.
issue in the clubhouse
Mhm.
at 6:45,
So what is the concern about having somebody in the gym without any employee here? And I'm only asking
Yeah.
because I've lived at places before where the gym is always open.
Mhm.
And there's a sign that you're at your own risk when you're using the gym.
that's the only concern, is to make sure that we're covered liability wise.
Right,
If somebody is here, listen, I've used the AED machines myself. I've given mouth to mouth myself. I've done the Heimlich maneuver myself. If nobody's here to do anything like that, it could be a small incident that could be addressed. Someone could call 911, just all of the little things. But I understand it's at your own risk.
I think we should have a sign on the door that says, using the gym outside of hours when
Or even
employees
within
are here.
hours.
Even
Okay.
within hours, yeah.
Even within,
hours. It's
using the
like a
gym is
pool.
at
There's
your
no
own
life-
risk.
There's no lifeguard on duty to pool. You're at your own risk. I mean, we don't have attendance here.
Yes.
We could get a controller for the front door by the, and then at 5:30 or 4:30, that opens up,
Yes.
okay? And they can still come in and still stop the access going through the pool
Yes.
and coming around. And that goes
That's
off
exactly what we need.
at 7:25
Which front door?
by the tennis court, by the tennis shop. And put a controller on that.
Mhm.
And then that clicks open at 4:15, whatever y'all think, 4 to 9, all right,
Lock at 9.
4 a.m. to 9 p.m. And then the pool doesn't open up, that all closes down at 9,
Right.
except to exit. And then you can, you won't be able to go through there to get to the gym. And that
Right,
door there also will close and not open till the
Right.
pool opens up.
right. Yeah, I think could you get us a price on that?
Hmm.
And,
And then that would stop the security guards from having to unlock it every morning.
Right. And, you know, I have to say, and maybe it's just my own bias, but, I was saying this to Nancy this weekend, we were chatting, that, you know, when I was traveling, I was routinely in the gym at 4:45. So I guess I have empathy for people, especially when you get older and you can't sleep, like some of us. You know, you say, well, I may as well just go and, you know, burn some calories. So, anyway, yeah, we'll just, so are we, well, we'll get the price first, then we can just reconfirm the times, but.
Sure, but I do think, so here's my only comment about this. I don't think we should open up the fitness center before 4:30 in the morning.
Okay.
Like, if we can put a timer on that for 4:30 AM, I'd be comfortable with that right now, regardless of what the price is, obviously, for the tennis shop. We can change that time to say 4:30 AM to 9 PM.
But we should also get a sign that, you know, use of the gym is at your own risk. There should also be, there should also
Absolutely.
be a number there. I get that.
911,
Yeah.
yeah.
But also, like, even like during the day, or like if something's inside on a Saturday or Sunday, or I guess the codes go to the front desk, but if somebody sees something or something's broken, they want to report an issue at the gym, there should be direction. Who do you go to? Do you go to Greg? Do you go to Luciano? Do you go to the
Yeah,
front
we were
desk?
talking about
Who do
that.
where do you go should something happen? Not necessarily an emergency that you need the police for, or an emergency
Yeah.
ambulance, but something happens and you need to report an incident. Where do you,
There is a sign that has an email address, it's Therese Dunaway, they've been working on revising the sign, but if there isn't a big sign up, if we need to make any comment.
should also be maybe a phone number somewhere, I don't know where that goes to.
There is, Matt is redoing all the signs.
Okay.
He's doing I think tennis courts first, and then he's gonna do pickleball, and then he's gonna do the fitness center, fitness studio and combination. He's waiting for marketing approval.
We did that. The fitness center is off the print.
Okay, so there you go.
There you go,
Yep.
perfect, all right.
But as far as contact 24/7, and let me ask you a quick question. If you're gonna do 4:30, well, how does 4:30 be the number, and why wouldn't you just do 24 hours?
I was gonna ask that question. I mean, if we're gonna say at your
If
own
it's gonna
risk
be
and you need
4:30,
a key card to get
then what's
in,
the difference between 4:30 and 4?
it really isn't.
Well,
That's the only
I mean, I think you want to have some of because if it's open, if the gate's open all the time, or is it only, is going to be key card access by the tennis courts?
By the tennis court.
It'll be key card. I just think you want less people, even access to the buildings, you can still break into the tennis court area, the POA area, and whatever, and have some access to the building all night long. I just have a problem with that aspect.
Is the fitness studio locked?
Nope, it's just closed.
Maybe at night. it should
Because
be
I've
locked.
asked to see how much it would cost to get a card key, and this was during the Vesta administration, and I was told it was gonna be $5,000 to have a access
I mean,
reader.
Could you
put
get
on
a
there.
price on that?
I never got a price on it. No,
That's
I,
what she told me.
Because
Could you get a price on that on
because
Facebook?
if you
Nancy,
come,
that's what it was,
because
right?
if you come through the tennis court doors,
Ridiculous.
the only thing that's stopping you from getting into this part is those interior doors.
Right.
And you don't have 7, 8 hours of unobstructed time
Yeah.
to do whatever you want. We got crappy little wooden doors that probably can get knocked out pretty easily. And then the next thing you know, somebody's having a liquor party
Right.
all night
Well,
long, and I think
maybe-
you want to avoid some of that.
Yeah, maybe what we do is just, it's always been 11, so maybe not change the end time.
Okay,
Just leave it 4:30 to 11, that's when you can
okay.
access and come in.
Okay.
I mean,
I don't
it's
know.
always been 11, I
I
would
don't
leave it at
know.
11 if there's
Okay.
not any reason to change that.
Yeah. Well, and plus if we have a swiper, then we know who it is who came in. We
Exactly.
might necessarily know everybody if they.
What
let-
time do the cleaning ladies, do the cleaning people come in? Any idea?
Yeah, it depends on what day of the week it is. It's after service hours. Sundays they're here a little bit earlier. Mondays and Tuesdays they're here a little bit earlier. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they're not allowed to come in until after 9.
So that's the other issue, by leaving the fitness center open, you've got people possibly working out,
And they're trying to clean.
and they're trying to clean the bathrooms and the locker rooms and everything else. I mean, we've got to allow some time for maintenance.
Yeah, I have no problem closing at 9:30 or something like that. I mean, it's.
Well, you want to think about it?
Yeah.
But you know, they clean now and they've never had a problem
Yeah.
till 11. I mean,
Okay.
I just am thinking, why change it if it's always been 11 and we haven't had any problems at that part of the.
There's very
Really,
few
everybody
people-
here is asleep anyway.
There's very few people here after
I
9.
mean, it's really
It's
quiet
far more
here.
crowded at 5 a.m.
It is far more crowded.
That's
Yeah, your issue's gonna come from opening, not closing it.
Right.
And so you'll get prices on those two
Yes, ma'am.
swipers. Okay, cool, good. Do you want to just use that to segue into other?
FX stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so most of my issues are, that was a big portion of it, was
Okay.
access to the facilities from a fitness and pool perspective. But then the other thing kind of centers around maintenance of the fitness center, its equipment, the fitness studio, the locker room and stuff like that. So, and I guess maybe this ties in more with like, you know, from a staffing perspective, a maintenance staffing perspective. While we have, you know, a dedicated maintenance person 4 hours a day for the tennis courts, we really don't have anybody overseeing fitness in the fitness center facility itself. And, you know, we've seen the garbage cans overflowing, broken paper towel holders and all that kind of stuff. And I guess my question is more around, what are we doing to help make sure that that maintenance gets back up to where it used to be? There's rust on some of the pieces of equipment and that kind of thing. And maybe this is like not just centered on fitness and pool, but the overall facility itself. I don't know. But I have said it, I continue to say it. Fitness and pool is woefully neglected. And I've been now preaching it for almost 18 months and I haven't seen a change anywhere. So this is a conversation with what needs to happen to step this up a little bit.
So can I share an interesting conversation I had with Ray, our maintenance tech who left? And I'm gonna try to speak up, Darlene. That, I was up here Sunday on one of my snooping tours and, had a chat with Ray and I said, you know, let me ask you, how would you describe if your time divided up into percentages, how much percent do you spend on project management stuff? Because there's a lot of important stuff that has to be done for the facilities, you know, getting AC bids, super important, especially now, versus maintenance tech things. There's a broken light fixture versus overflowing garbage cans.
And blowing off the
Yeah, and
parking
that
lot.
kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And,
day to day,
you know, and it
overall day to day.
got me thinking because, you know, his answer was, it depends. And he said probably 10 to 15% of his time roughly was spent on, you know, doing work, looking at, you know, bids and, you know, getting outside contractors in to do other work. But, you know, he said with the other pieces, it was, you know, and it varied on the day, but, you know, roughly 50-50. So, you know, skilled care versus unskilled care in terms of maintenance.
Right,
So
right.
that was one of the reasons I wanted behind me putting together that overall schedule, because for the fitness center, because we've seen, you know, a couple emails, you know, from resident about, you know, garbage cans and wipes and everything else. I've replaced toilet paper rolls, we probably all have. It gets very busy in season. The pool area, I think, you know, probably could benefit from having more attention in terms of somebody
100%.
setting it up and cleaning away, you
Wiping
know,
down the table.
French
making
fries
sure
that have fallen on the floor
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and cleaning the furniture and all that kind of
Mhm,
stuff. So I think it comes back to this big basket of hours, and how many, you know, what are the pounds of sand we're trying to put in the bag and where are we
Right.
trying to do it?
Right,
Because I agree with you. I think the general upkeep, you know, we're trying to do a lot.
we're trying to do a lot, and this is not any criticism
No.
of Hampton. This is the sheer volume of our residents using this facility now.
Absolutely.
And that, and
And the
And
age, and the age of the facility.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, and the
right.
age of the facility, but, you know, our pool of residents is a fixed number, right? So,
Yeah.
but that number is increased exponentially in use in this facility. and it's feeling it. The facility's feeling tired, it's looking tired, but there's just general maintenance that I think that needs to take place. And cleanliness and everything just to, with that volume. And I don't know how we address that
Well,
issue.
It's a good, and maybe we can think about it, but
And my focus, of course, was on
yeah,
that.
fitness.
Yeah,
But at the same time, that Monday that I was sitting in your office and there was a setup for the community, it was last Monday, for the community association meeting. And there was like a buzz in the hallway and there were people here and, this place is so busy.
so busy.
And, and it's not everything is revenue generating.
Right, exactly.
In terms of offsetting labor costs.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I think we just have to think really, we have to be realistic about the expectations we've set up with residents, by everything that goes on up here and what it's gonna take to keep this facility in good, please, yeah.
So go ahead, sorry. No, I was just gonna ask, and pardon me for being dense, but I'm not really sure what you're proposing or asking.
I don't know, this is just for
Okay.
topic of conversation. I kind of wanted to get it out there so we can start thinking about this more from a budget perspective. Like, does this require us to have another half FTE in the maintenance side? Or do we need to restaff? What do the job descriptions, not necessarily job
So
descriptions,
I
but
would
what
say
are,
that would be, yeah. I agree.
that's where my head was at with this, Cheryl. It wasn't anything.
Sorry, I was just trying to get to that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes.
A couple comments. I'm glad you had the conversation with Ray, because the amount of time that,
Yeah.
I'll even reverse it for a little bit. As you guys know, whether it was the best administration or whoever it happened to be, to Rich's point, the building is old.
Yeah.
It hasn't been taken care of. We've had a lot of projects where we're ripping out roofs and changing doors and changing door handles and a lot of things. But I think the core root of the challenge is there are 1.5 FTEs in facilities maintenance for this entire property on a 7-day-a-week operation. And almost 0.5 of those FTEs are accumulated with tennis court
Correct.
maintenance 7 days a week for about 2 to 3 hours a day. My personal assessment after 4.5 months here is this property with these hours should have a facilities maintenance director or supervisor with 2 full-time employees. I personally think, and even if you put down on a piece of paper, 2 full-time employees with 1 salaried director, you won't have coverage on a 7-day-a-week operation, even if we started at 7 a.m., not 4:30 a.m., and went till 9 p.m. So even with 3 FTEs, which I think is the right number, we won't have coverage with a facilities person on property for when the gas line goes out, or a fuse blows, or the toilet main line breaks, or there's a gas line leak at the tiki bar, or whatever these facilities issues are. 3 FTEs, and I've done it on a schedule. I've got a mock schedule. I'm planning on bringing it on to the May 8th budget discussion workshop. But it's woefully underfunded for the expectation. And this kind of goes back to the conversation we had 4 weeks ago and 6 weeks ago and 8 weeks ago about what's the mission, what's the vision, who are we now, and what do we want to be? Because if we want to be a club that's open from 4:30 in the morning until 11 o'clock at night.
That's what I was gonna get back to with that comment,
And
yes.
7 days a week.
Yes.
Right.
It is not possible to have 1.5 FTEs and that's just 1 2-person department. That bleeds off to the other 2-person department, which is our reception desk. And if you look at the hours of operation for this reception desk, it's 80 hours a week.
Yes, it is
So-
80 hours.
It
But
is
the
hours,
budget is 1.5 FTEs.
Right, right.
So
We'd only
It's
budgeted
not 1.5
I remember
people,
that.
it's 3 people.
Mhm.
But we have 1.5. And a little bit, same thing with facilities. And this is why I said, if you go back to the tape, I just watched it a couple days ago. It's okay if we want to have an operation where it's 1.5 FTEs at the reception desk and 1.5 FTEs in the facilities, but we have to make the operation fit that budget.
Right.
Or if we want to have the 7 days a week, 4:30 to 11, then we should make the budget fit that operation. But it doesn't work with make this budget first fit this operation.
So
Good,
does,
thank
we'll
you.
never
That's a
have-
succinct way of where I was trying to get. And then that ties into things like the fitness instructors and everything else
Right.
that goes beyond that. But yeah, the use of this facility is,
It's off the, yeah.
is off the
great, and
charts,
it's- and
which
it's
I think is
great.
fabulous. Thank you very much.
Can I
So-
just bleed into one more thing, because you
Please.
just said it, the fitness. We have one budgeted person for 10 hours
10
a
hours
week.
a week.
Right.
10 hours a week,
Mm-hmm.
out of how many hours is the fitness open per week? There's one salaried person or payroll person,
Payroll person.
10 hours a week.
Well, yeah, and I'll just add to that, you know, we're paying for people's fitness classes, but we're not funding somebody to, you know, properly oversee the function. Maybe I'll just
Correct.
leave the comment at that, but
Yeah.
I wondered, and I'm not, there's no recommendation on my part, but just throwing out the idea, because, you know, May 8th could be a complex discussion if there's any value in sitting down with Greg individually before that May 8th budget meeting, you know, to give him our views.
Well, this all goes back to the question I asked every meeting for the last 4 meetings. I don't know who does what here. I don't even know who the employees are. We have a pool person now. What do they do? We have a concierge. What does he do? I don't even know who the pool person is, much less what they do or their hours. So I'm gonna sit here trying to figure out budgets when I don't know who's here and who did, like Kat. I don't know where Kat's responsibilities end and Luciano's responsibilities start. So to sit here and understand budgets, I don't even know who the people are.
Well, that's why I
As a
think
matter of
there's some value in dialogue.
Kat and Luciano started here they were here for 3 weeks before even knew they physically started. I was like, as a supervisor, I was not notified that we had people, I know that they were hiring people, but I did not know they started. I found out by walking through the club that that's the wrong way of doing things. We should know who's doing things, what they're doing. I'm not saying to do it because I want to sit there and nickel and dime what they're doing for the job. I need to know what their job is so we can figure out, do we have the right people? Do we have the right operations? Do we need more people to handle these things? But if I don't know what these people do, I can't decide to say, well, we need.
But I think that's not, you're
department.
bleeding into operations.
Thank
That's
you.
not our
Yeah.
job. It's not our job at all.
I want to
But
know.
Should we be notified of who's coming in? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can clean that up, but as far as operations, maybe we, on the last meeting of April, which is a workshop, right?
Mhm.
Would you be ready to actually talk about staffing in the configuration so that we can get that part out of the way before we get to the budget discussion?
Yeah, I would just love to see an
Okay.
organizational
I think-
chart.
Organizational
That's all we need, just an org chart. I don't need job descriptions.
No, because those change, I mean, how many jobs have you,
Right,
I've never done this in my
right.
job description.
I've never done
Let me just say one thing.
Okay.
We inherited a little bit of an organizational chart, like the person who had budgeted for a pool attendant. That wasn't my idea. I probably wouldn't even suggest that, but it's in the budget at 30 hours a week for a pool attendant. Well, how do you schedule a pool attendant for 30 hours a week on a 7-day-a-week operation? And what does that pool attendant do? That's not something that we said, hey, I think we need to put a pool attendant out there. We've already had one person come and quit, and then the second person started last week. But we can create a job description for a job that I wouldn't recommend. I'd be happy to do that. But I don't think that's the best, most efficient use of the money, but that's what was in the budget. So we're trying to right now, on 5 months in for Hampton, adjust to the budget that was predetermined and put a pool attendant to help keep the drinks 4 feet away from the edge of the pool. But is that an efficient use of money for that individual? No. So just knowing the girl and having met her, she's old enough to serve cocktails. So she's gonna help serve drinks and cocktails and be more efficient, because I think standing out there with a whistle watching for people to break a rule is a waste of 30 hours a week, and we don't have hours to waste. So I will have an org chart. I will have every.
My question is, could the
Yes.
pool attendant also help set up the tiki bar and clean up some messes up?
No, because the tiki bar opens at 10:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So the tiki, it opens at 11:30. The tiki bartender gets there at 10:30, and the pool attendant comes in at 11:30. So she can work 6 days a week, 5 hours a day to
yeah.
hit 30 hours.
Well, again, you see, I don't know
But
because.
that's not,
Yeah.
I can't,
But that's not our job.
Yeah,
He's gotta be in charge of operations, and I think if you come with a plan, that we can all look at before we get to the budget discussion? That will really help us get our head around
But you're
what we're trying to do.
But you're basically just saying, give me a chart of what you want. I'm just asking for a chart of what we have. It's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know where we, where, I don't know.
But
where
I don't
we
think
go.
they're the
Well,
same.
and
Right.
we're not saying-
They're almost
we're-
polar opposites.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
not solving for,
they're
we're
two
asking,
things.
They're polar opposites.
we're
What we
asking Greg to
have
solve
versus
it.
what we need
Right,
are
no,
not the same thing.
and that's why I wanted to put that down on paper, and it's really only two-dimensional, because I go back, I'm looking at Darlene, I go back to when, last year I started working with the Social and Dining Committee on the number of events that get organized up here. It's a staggering number. And then you layer on top of it all of the private event requests that are going through F&B that get scheduled. I don't know if you know this, I think there were 2 events on Wednesday night on top of last week, on top of Burger Night. There were 2 private things that were going on at the same time we were doing Burger Night. So, but the board wouldn't necessarily know that, and I think I would also like to bring maybe a schedule of that when we talk about that, because there's so many things going on at the same time.
I
It's
think
shocking.
that's okay. I think
Oh,
that's,
it's great.
that's
It's
his
great.
job.
It
Right?
is his job, but I think if we are, at least for myself anyway, it adds
Aware
a
to it.
color to the black and white
Well,
two-dimensional.
we can certainly have a calendar. I think a calendar would be awesome to have, go ahead.
It would be awesome. And to your point with the calendar, one of the things Bill asked me to do 2 months ago was write a budget for what you think is needed at this property. But here's the challenge that I face. Over the last 2 months, like Monday is a good example. We had 4 events Monday. They started at 9 a.m. and went till 9 p.m. Or 8 p.m. and the last event had 200 people. Now, if I'm gonna write a budget, I'm not gonna write a budget for Monday because we're closed on Monday. But that's not the reality of the situation. Or
We've got staff here.
we extended the hours at the front desk from 5 till 5 p.m. versus 9 to 3. There's changes that have happened over the last 2 months that I'm just now starting to see. Monday and Tuesday doesn't mean closed Monday and Tuesday. So if I'm gonna write a budget.
That's Monday. Those are meeting days in my mind.
Yeah,
Those are maybe.
and Tuesday's and it's
Geeky.
amazing
And
how
geeky.
much participation we have from all the card players. I love to see that many people using the club. But when we have 50 residents in the club playing cards for 4, 5, 6 hours, should we have no staff? To me, I say, yes, we should.
Have staff.
At least one person.
Yeah,
A porter,
absolutely.
somebody to get water or coffee or pick up a spill that happens or help move a table around.
Well, but then,
No, what?
But see, I
We
think.
shouldn't have
this
anybody
is-
for that?
no.
Even a maintenance person? What happens when the toilet overflows?
That maintenance is different. Maintenance is gonna be here anyways on Monday and Tuesday.
But we have to
They should
talk
be
about
anyways.
it.
But anyways, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that, come up with your proposal.
Yes.
I will,
For the 27th of April.
for the
And we
hours of
can-
operation.
That's a
that-
workshop anyway, and we can spend a large amount of time
I will.
talking about what that is.
And I would like to understand head count in each areas and
100%.
oversight. So, and it might just be 2.5 FTEs, 1.5. I don't need it, down to
Got
the line
Right.
chef, server, all that kind of stuff. I just want to know total FTE. FTE underneath that particular, I'll call it manager.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I can do that.
Thank you.
And I'll do it based on the actuals, not what, the actual
Yes,
operations.
you have to.
Not what's the hours posted.
Right, because that's reality at this point. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I need a break too.
10-minute break, we'll reconvene at 11:22.
That's
We're going
15.
back up. Oh,
I got 11.
yeah, 11:17, sorry. I can't add. Okay,
Can I just go back to where we were a little
Sure.
bit?
yes.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a job, it's not, I need to get an idea, we're looking at budgets, we're looking at people, and we're saying, okay, we're gonna give everything to Hampton, and I don't have a problem giving everything to Hampton, but if I'm gonna sit here and make judgment, now, we don't have a compliance department, we don't have an audit department, we don't have an HR department, we're 5 people here trying to make decisions based upon information given to us. But but Greg can come out and say, I need X number of people for this, and I'm gonna say yes or no, based upon what basis? I have no basis to make any information if I don't know what people are here to do. I'm not saying I don't need down to the nth degree of everything they do, but Cat in Lifestyles, what does she do? I don't know. Seriously, I do not know what Cat does. I have Luciano and F&B. I physically don't know what Luciano does. I don't, it used to be that we had a person here that F&B handled all outside events, did payroll and whatever, and coordinated events and oversaw the dining room.
Actually, we had 3 people doing the job, is now being done by 2.
Well,
Mhm.
Josh and Maddie came in after the fact, after Teresa was gone. So they were.
No, she promoted them.
Okay.
Can we
Sorry.
stick to what Rich is asking, because I
Yeah.
think maybe I have a solution. We have asked that you do a proposed org chart, right? This is what
I
we
can bring
would,
it to you, something else.
this is what we
There's only
need,
3 people.
but no, I mean, for the 23rd, when we talk
Oh,
about
yeah, for the,
what you need.
yeah.
Maybe on that proposed org chart, you just put, under each title, 3 to 5 bullet points of what their
That's what I'm looking
responsibilities are.
for. That's what I'm looking
Fair
for.
enough.
I'm
You
not
do
just-
that, I think.
Yeah.
Okay,
And like,
let me
you know-
finish. I think if we do that, we answer this question and we give everybody kind of a similar idea of what everybody does.
And
I
then,
don't want job descriptions.
Me either.
but that's what I'm looking, that's.
And you can
okay,
ask
they-
questions based
And
on
they may
that.
explain it all.
But then,
3 to 5 bullet points,
Right.
what do they do? I'm not looking for
Right.
full detail.
Right.
But I need to know where one person starts.
What are we
where
paying
something-
for?
And like
Get it.
who, and like, we used to have Keith used to be the pool attendant.
Right.
Keith used to be out there all the time organizing and making sure that place was neat and tidy. Keith's not the pool attendant anymore. We have a new pool attendant. Are they being told that that's the responsibilities? I don't know, but I'm supposed to sit here and approve a budget for them.
we have, and if you don't have something from a pool attendant, like what the expectations were, it's more of an expectations. FPAC about a year and a half ago put together, maybe 2 years ago, put together of an expectation of what the pool attendant was supposed to do. I can get that for you. Yeah.
And I know that years ago, probably before you guys started the board, or maybe just, there used to be a gym attendant that was responsible for the gym, for the fitness area and the tennis area in the pool in terms of the main, Charlie, I believe.
Well, he was a tennis.
No,
he was the tennis pro.
But he was responsible for stuff out there. I'm not saying it should be, but I'm saying, but we have, but then when Vesta came in, at least my understanding, Vesta was told, we didn't need that person, and they were kind of.
Lots of things have changed, but if you're okay with moving forward with what we'll see on the 27th,
Oh,
that would be
whenever
great.
day that is.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
okay, good, perfect. Okay.
Okay, and I have one other thing, well, I've got a big thing about the finances, when we get to that. The roof, I called up Rick knows nobody about the roof, he doesn't know any roof consultants. Greg had made mention that Hampton may, so we don't meet again for another 2 weeks, we have nobody to pick from, we have nowhere to go with it, so.
I thought Belinda sent you.
And Jamie sent you from
Linda,
Hampton
yeah.
saying he doesn't have anybody that's a roof specialist.
But you,
Or even a contract specialist. He sent you an email, you and Tim and myself, and I think anybody else from facilities, about the inquiry about does Hampton have somebody to oversee or review the proposals for the roof?
that's not what I asked for. No, the email that you sent me, you said Hampton might have a roof, or somebody involved, a roof referral or something you can get, so that's what you.
A roof what?
A roof consultant.
A roof, you had sent.
No, I did, and then I copied Jamie in on that email, and then he responded in that same chain.
Don't recall, I don't recall seeing it, so Hampton has
Okay.
nobody then, okay.
No.
So Hampton has nobody, Rick has nobody, we have nobody, so we're now at square one.
I thought,
I thought Rick said he had.
and
Rick,
Belinda
I
said,
reached out to Rick. Rick said he had no
Okay.
doubt.
Belinda's,
Awesome.
what was Belinda's,
She
Curry?
said, she just said that they knew people that did roofs in other communities. That was it. So
okay,
we have our roof person that we contracted out to do our roof maintenance, who has told us our roof is in bad shape. Who is the one who suggested that we go out for the bids. An RFP only gets us information from several other vendors. It doesn't lock us into anything. We can then sit and bring all three vendors in here and sit and talk to them and say, what does your proposal have that he doesn't have? What does he have that you don't have? And get all the information you need that way. But if we don't move on this, we're
well, I thought we were waiting until we do the insurance thing, because I'm
That's what I
trying to
thought too.
figure out if this makes sense to do it.
again, an RFP doesn't cost you money.
And the other thing that we need to think about is if we're talking about doing La Sala again, or redoing it and changing things and
The roof-
possibly
it's
changing,
not gonna, the roof will be affected by the solid changes.
are we changing the structure of the building
It
at
will be if
all?
we change the structure of the building.
Yeah, if we change the structure of the building, we're changing the structure of the roof.
We're changing the structure of the building.
It depends on
It depends on what they come up with La Sala Group.
I didn't see any changes where
Is
they
there
were changing the
changes to the
physical structure.
What it would be, a flat roof. So if you are from, the columns that we have out
Yes.
here, there are openings and some scuppers actually that drain off of it, what's essentially a flat roof up there.
Okay,
So there would be some extension of the roof that would come out over the outdoor seated area. So you're not just sitting under open screening like you would be on your lanai. So that's one
Got
of the
got
proposals.
it,
But
okay.
to Rich's point, it isn't changing something about the structure. And
Okay,
anything that
okay.
would be there, would be new, but it's, I don't think it changes the proposition
And the
of.
roofer said anything that we do up there, extending out, probably might affect a few rows of tile, but that would be it.
Yeah.
And then you're back to where it's going. So if we first wait for the insurance person to come in April and find out what our insurance coverage is and get the RFP out, we're now looking at an RFP responses coming in after hurricane season. If hurricane season comes in and there are hurricanes and tiles are utilized and crews are used, you're now into next summer because you're not doing it in season.
Well, have we seen the RFP? I haven't seen an RFP.
Well, Andy wrote one up.
Yeah, I get it, but I don't want an RFP going out without me casting my eyes on
Well,
it.
we can look at it, but, that's fine. I mean, Andy, if you want to take a look at it, again, we're
It's for
just asking. it's-
$350,000 range, there's no way I would want an RFP.
And see, and I'm so
to go out.
concerned about even paying for this. I mean, I don't understand exactly where this
Well,
money would be coming
Me
from, because
either.
we're way ahead of the,
you've now had 4 leaks. You had 3 last year, 1 this year, and we've had no rain basically
I thought
until
this
this
was
last
where
week.
the money's coming
All three valleys have failed. 4 valleys have failed, and then the flat roof failed. There are 11 other valleys that potentially could fail.
why don't you bring the proposed RFP to the meeting in 2 weeks,
Andy
where
wrote
the
it.
insurance
Andy
consultant,
has it.
So
have
you
him
can
bring
send
it to the meeting. That way, we can listen to the insurance consultant, know what the issues are, and then
Well, that's
also
only
have
gonna
your.
tell you what's covered. It's not gonna tell you what the buildings, the roof conditions.
I know that, but I'm saying, I still need to know what's going on with the insurance, and this is like making a decision even in your own home. Am I gonna spend $50,000
You're not
to
spending,
replace my roof?
but Cheryl, you can do 2 things at once. You don't have to wait to speak to the insurance agent to do an RFP. An RFP just means you're going out to ask people to bid on it. At the same time, you can research the insurance question. At the same time, you can research possibly finding a consultant to help us review the 3 responses or 5 responses when they come back in. It doesn't commit you to spending any money.
You
It's
still
just-
want this roof done before hurricane season, which is June.
I think
June 1st starts hurricane season.
it should, but June is also the slow season, and we should do it before.
I am
October,
not
November.
in any position, and I don't care whether the RFPs come back on June 1st. We need to figure out where the money's coming from. I
And if
hear
the-
what
and
you're
if-
saying,
And if the
but-
roof fails and you have leaks everywhere and this place is closed for 2 months, you're gonna have to find the money, and now you've been out of business for 2 months. Good, you were at the meeting with the roofer. What's your feeling about the condition of this roof?
So here's my feeling. First, I'll apologize to you, but I think that I shared this email, but Jamie's response was, generally speaking, HG does not have a position that has the expertise specifically with regard to construction project management. There are vendors out there that provide this service. That was his response about the roof. The board meeting, I think Cheryl and Cindy, not the last one, but the one before, specifically said, we're not doing this before hurricane season. My assessment of the roof in Westfall, and Eric with Westfall, is I don't know exact number that you've spent or we have spent on roof repairs over the last 18 months. But the message I got from the meeting was, yes, the roof needs to be replaced. Will the repairs that, I think they've done a total of 5 now, because there's another one that's just happened over the gym. And I'm gonna guess we
It's
probably
about
spent,
15,000.
well,
It'll be 20 with this one.
I'm gonna say it's probably closer to 20 to 25,000 on 4 or 5 repairs that have been done over the last.
Since
That's less than
July,
10%.
since July.
So, right, so here's my thought. We've done the repairs, we've paid the $20,000 or $25,000 for the repairs, but we've only really had one significant rainfall, which only caused one leak in the fitness area. So I don't have enough information to know whether the repairs, the 4 or 5 repairs that have been done to the roof are gonna stick. But I think that we'd be, if we didn't, we hadn't spent the money on those repairs, then I would say, yeah, I think it needs to be done, because the last time it rained heavily, there were 5 leaks. I think there's a lot of money to be spent on HVAC equipment, on condensing pan collections, on geothermal heaters for the pools, on the La Sala project, on the bocce courts. My concern is, where is the $300,000 or ish $1,000 for the roof coming from, with all these other things stacked up? I mean, I just got the quote on Friday from the equipment upgrade for the kitchen, that all of the equipment in the kitchen basically is out of its shelf life except for the pizza oven. His estimate was $188,000. So that's just another one. So my 2 cents would be, I would say, let's not try to do it for this hurricane season. Let's take a look at some RFPs. Let's see if we have leak issues after the repairs have been done, and then reassess and evaluate, because unfortunately the roof isn't budgeted till 2035.
Right.
Well, I know it's not budgeted, but the kitchen equipment's not budgeted either. The bocce court is not budgeted either. The La Sala is not budgeted either. The important thing is we need to protect what we have, and if this roof fails, the kitchen equipment is irrelevant. If this roof fails, La Sala is irrelevant.
That's very, I don't understand roof fails.
Because, okay,
I mean, I understand roof fails, don't get me wrong. I just think that is a very extreme.
okay,
Catastrophic.
we went 22 years and had no issues with the roof leaking.
That's not true.
Well, okay, the flat roof when it was repaired years ago, but for the last several years, there've been no roof repairs. Like, some tiles brought what, leaks? No, we had tiles breaking and tile repairs and things like that, but no leaks. So last year we had 4 leaks, and as soon as it started raining, we had a 5th leak. The underlayment does not get any younger. It starts degrading and deteriorating and starts drying out. And once it starts drying out, the more it dries out, the quicker and faster it dries out. The concrete barrel tile is only a decorative protection above it. Your moisture barrier, that barrier is what's important. If you've now had 5 leaks in 9 months, and you've had none before, it's telling you it's got signs of aging.
Rich, that's not true. I've been here 8 years. I went on the facilities committee in 2019. We've had leaks since then, believe me. Believe me, we've had leaks. We've had leaks in the front wall of the club. We've had leaks in the bar. We've had leaks in here. We've had leaks everywhere.
And
I'm just telling you.
You just fixed 4 of them.
Yeah, but there were 11 more valleys, which is where the problem is.
And that's where the leaks definitely come, is the
Yeah,
valleys.
so we have 11 more valleys. So if you're going to spend $5,000 to $10,000 for 11 more valleys, you could be spending another $50,000 this year fixing repairs and to replace it next year.
Well, here's what I would say though, is I have no problem at all looking at the results of an RFP and having people come in and talk to us. And I wish we could find a roof consultant. And I'm gonna throw this out there, that after Hurricane Ian, and I was I was worried about, I had just gotten on the board, I was worried about the question of whether we were gonna have to replace the roof, because everybody was being asked to replace their roof. So I had a long conversation with the general manager over at Pelican Point, which had to replace their roof because they had a catastrophic failure as a result of Ian in one part of the club. So I spent quite some time talking to him about it. I have probably 3 pages of notes, which I should give you, by the way. But he may have a consultant. I'm happy to.
You know what? I just thought of something.
What?
Who has roof consultants? Insurance companies.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we ask the insurance company?
Yeah.
I don't think you wanna do that, I don't think you want anybody to talk to the insurance company.
Not our insurance company, but I mean, insurance companies use roof consultants. Wouldn't it be interesting to know who they use and?
I don't know where to start finding them, and I don't know where to start finding them, and then you have to start interviewing them.
Well, I'll
And
try,
then they have to start
I'll
paying, and then
I'll
you gotta
try,
figure
let
out
me
whether
look
you
at my
contract with
notes.
them. So it
Yeah.
could be 6 months before you hire a roof consultant.
Ask the reserve guy if he has a roof consultant.
You mean Brian?
No.
No, customer service.
Yeah, customer
Customer
service. They might.
service.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure they do
you
too.
could, but, I'm just gonna say, I have no problem at all looking at the results of an RFP. I think there's no downside at all. I don't see the downside. Well, there is one, which is we annoy people because we've asked for
Correct.
proposals.
Correct, and then we don't act on it.
And then we don't act on it.
Because that is gonna be no small amount of work to do.
Right.
Respond to an RFP.
Right.
Not that difficult.
But you say-
A current guy did it, and it took him a few hours.
Well,
It's not, I mean, and I'm just worried that if there is a hurricane this year, and roof tiles become scarce, and labor becomes busy, your price is gonna go up 15-20%
It's a lot
next
of
year.
ifs.
That's a lot of
it is,
speculation.
it is a lot of ifs, plus,
Well,
You know,
well, we
there were
we
not
had the
catastrophic.
opportunity to replace the parking lot pavement back during COVID for $25,000. And the answer was, no, we're not gonna do it now, so we spent $120,000 this year, and last year instead.
Well, what I would say to that, though, is that the board was having, I'm gonna call it, different kinds of debates, and I think these kinds of debates are really important. And, you know, you've made a lot of good points on, you know, like, look at painting the club, et cetera. I mean,
And
I get it.
and the repairs to the club, and if you're looking at just trying to get the roof pushed one more year, the risk reward is
Well,
not there.
What
Can I ask you a question?
Sure,
What was your home built?
2009,
Do you have a new roof?
no, this club was built in 2003.
You're talking 6 years.
My house was built in 2004. I don't have a new roof.
Yeah,
Nor do I plan to replace
we
it.
replaced ours, but not because it was failing.
And
Well,
it's-
we
Because the
replaced ours
insurance
because of
company-
Ian.
And
Because
it's-
of Ian.
But it all
Let's do it.
depends upon what materials they used for the roof and how well they did it. So a roof that was done using material A as your underlayment versus material B will affect your roof life. The quality of the guys and the time they spent
We need
doing
more
it
time from
will
materials.
affect.
Here's the problem. You can get RFPs, it's not gonna answer my question.
Right.
Which is,
Do we need it really?
do we need to replace the roof? And so that's where we need someone other than a roofing company who's gonna say, you absolutely need a new roof. Your insurance company told you you needed a new roof?
Yeah, they said they would not write another insurance policy if we went one more year.
I've heard of that happening
Several
to some
A
people.
lot of people have had that.
Yeah, now we could have, I'm sure we could have found another insurance company.
Huh?
Frankly, we looked at self-insuring because we said the roof's not gonna just blow
Blow
off.
off.
And the Plotkins lived for months and months and months without leaks, with the
Tiles
tiles
off.
gone.
Right.
And so did we.
Which
We-
is
we
why
lived
I
for
come back to the
6 months
insurance
without it.
company piece, which is, if our insurance company isn't telling us we need to replace our roof, then I just think it's really good to have Aegis here so we can have that conversation.
I agree, Cheryl.
Well,
I
plus,
mean,
and Aegis they're not your typical insurer. We're getting that through the Florida Insurance Alliance, which is only available to entities like ours. So I would describe them as more of a, they have a different axe to grind, because maybe just finishing the story on Pelican Point, I was worried that they were gonna say to us, you have to replace your
Correct.
roof. And Belinda checked into it, they're like, no,
No,
it doesn't
but-
roll that way.
And which is why you need to have, which is why I request to come in and talk to us, because the policy also says they don't cover issues, if there's deterioration, they don't cover it. So if you have leaks due to deterioration, which we are starting to.
Well, no
Yes.
insurance covers that.
Exactly.
Everybody's gotta replace their plywood on the
That's
roof.
why, like, I have to
No,
send
no,
pictures, no.
no, I'm not even talking plywood, deterioration of the membrane.
Oh,
But nobody can tell, but here's the thing.
right.
So my insurance company makes me send them pictures of my roof. They make an assessment and they tell me, you're good. We're insuring you for another year. Let's have Aegis. I'm not prepared to say do the RFP right now. I want the insurance company information. That's my opinion.
And I'm in that camp as well. I think it's really important to understand what our coverage is, what the insurance company has to say. And do they have a roofing consultant who can come in and lift up some of these tiles and say, you know what, you are at a point where you need a
Cindy,
new roof.
I hope you're right, because if this thing failed, we're gonna be down, we could be down for months.
Yeah, but you're talking about an absolute catastrophic failure, Rich. And,
Yes.
you know, I know you guys bought your house at the time of Ian, but I will tell you that the damage that I was aware of
I'm not talking
was
about,
all flooding damage.
I'm not
It
talking
was
about
not-
hurricane damage. I am talking about the heavy rain and winds that come during the season. So I'm just calling it hurricane season,
I hear you.
but it's the heavy rain and the heavy wind, and not even hurricane force wind. I'm just talking about these valleys start backing up.
Right.
When so much water starts hitting these roofs and the water starts backing up and can't get cleared through the gutters enough, that's when you start having your leaks.
Right.
The last rain that we had over the gym, that was not even a heavy rain. It was heavy, but not
I hear you.
the heaviest.
What I would say is, you know, you have, you know, people on the fence or more on this, and I think, you know, we're just asking for more information. I mean, my feeling about
2 weeks.
spending $350,000, you know,
And again,
I
am
wanna
not-
know.
I am not saying to spend it. I'm just saying to start the process to look into it. I've been saying that all the time. An
See, I'm
RFP is
hearing
a
something
request.
different from you.
It's what,
Yeah, because you're
You're
saying
saying-
gather the
Yeah.
information,
You
but we're
gotta do
gonna
it
have a
right now.
catastrophic
I
failure.
know.
We gotta do it right now.
But-
That's exactly
but
what
at
I'm
the
hearing
same
too,
time, we can
yes.
speak to Aegis. At the same time, we could find a roofing consultant. Because the RFP is going to, we're not gonna get the RFP out until you see it, so it's 2 weeks from now. So let's say, so Aegis comes in 2 weeks after the RFP comes out. The RFP people need it, at least first get posted, and then they need at least 30 to 45 days. And then it's first gonna come into us, for us to look at. Where they're gonna sit and look at the numbers and say, okay, we got six people in, we wanna bring these 3 people in and have conversations with them. That's 2 weeks later. So you're talking months and months and
It's not an
months.
emergency. I just don't see, I'm not
Okay.
seeing the emergency,
All
and I
right.
could be wrong.
Yeah, I just-
Nobody saw the emergency on the club until we started putting people apart, and the whole fascia fell down. But that's okay.
What fascia fell
The
down?
fascia,
The towers.
the tower fascia.
That
There was
was
no
done.
emergency, but when we started going there, it was all ready to come off. But that's okay, you know.
Okay, so well, I think we should stop now, because this is just kind of
All right,
getting out of
that's
control. Because I think you have 3 people saying,
Fine.
let's wait 2 weeks and hear from the insurance company. 2 weeks is,
And I'll, see if I can still get that guy at Pelican and see if they used a consultant. They
I
probably did.
asked Custom Reserve if they have a consultant.
Okay, oh, great.
Great, thank you.
So if you
Thank
hear
you,
back,
Karen.
from me, get back to Rich. Yeah, okay, good. And I will call Pelican and find out, if that guy's still there or if I made a note on who he
One
was.
quick question for Rich. Remember when Eric was here, he talked about there was already we're already on our second layer
Of the flat roofs, yes.
on the flat roofs. So there's
Correct.
2 roofs on the flat roofs,
Correct,
but not on the angle roofs, right?
correct.
When was the second roof on the flat roofs put on?
Nobody knows. As far as we could, I don't know.
I may
And that's,
have
and the
that.
second, and the second layer, so the first layer failed, so then you put in the second layer, and the second layer started to fail over, so we've now had 2 failures
Belinda would know.
on the flat roofs. But, you know, so the first layer was supposed to last 20 years, and the second layer is supposed to last 20 years, and the 2 layers only gave us 20. So each one failed after 5 or 10. So that just goes to show you that maybe the people who did the roof were not the best people who did the roof.
I get it. All right.
It wasn't Westfall, right?
No, no, Westfall's no, I don't know who, and the last roofer that we had, they were horrible because they came and did their analysis of the roof, and then we looked up and saw all these broken tiles, and that's what we called in Westfall, and he went up there with a drone, and we paid him $10,000 to repair all these broken tiles and fix one of the valleys, because the first people said, oh, there's nothing wrong.
Well, that's because we had a maintenance contract with them. And they were essentially not doing anything in return for the maintenance money that we were paying them.
But even to tell us that.
I do remember that.
Yeah, but even to tell us that there was nothing wrong,
Yeah.
even paid for it, they said there's nothing wrong. So,
Well, you may well be right, but I think, we all have our process, and I think we're gonna have to get there.
I get that, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to avoid,
Absolutely, understood.
For the sake of 6 months or a year to next summer, the roof costs $350,000 for a 20-something year roof, so you're talking $15,000 a year. So you could spend that in maintenance, just repairing what's happened this year, but for $15,000 by cutting the roof life 1 year off to help protect the club, so there is not a problem. I don't, that's.
Too much money for me
We
to
don't
take a
have the
gamble.
money, so I think we move on.
Yep, her.
Well, then let's not talk about LaSalle or Bachi.
That's
we don't have the
planning,
money.
that's not your urgency
No,
of
it's
having to
planning.
do it in 5 months. I mean,
It's
there's a
planning.
difference. Long-term.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, I even asked, should we hold off the workforce until the fall?
Well, Ken said that a lot of the money is put away. He said 80% of it is staff,
It's not
is a reserve.
It's not 80%, it's about 40%. If you look at
Of
how
the
the
roof.
reserves are constructed. It's not that they're put away, it's how the reserve
Right.
schedule works. But there still is not $350,000
So how did only 40,000, so if the roof life is
2035,
2035, and we've been collecting reserves for how long?
or maybe it's 60%.
It's our
It's our
methodology.
methodology, it might be 60%, I might have been 60.
Because what you
might be
have to
incorrect.
understand is, it's not just, if the methodology we use does not take every single asset and put X amount
It's
in
not a
every
piggy
year,
bank.
in
It's not a
theory,
piggy bank.
but we don't use that method. So part of the issue is cash flow, right?
Right.
It's a cash flow crunch,
I
because we've
get-
also got roads coming due,
I get that,
which is
but
our single biggest
I
number.
get that, but if this roof fails,
Yeah,
everything is lost.
I think, no, it's not. I mean, no, everything is not lost. I'm gonna disagree with that characterization, because it's, yeah, but we'll have to disagree. Ugh, anyway, so I have left on here, and I think these are connected, discussion, so it says 4B, discussion regarding board procedures and standards for amenity use suspensions.
Yeah, that
and
was, yeah.
potential communication regarding conduct.
Mhm.
Because, in my head anyway, those two things hang together. Maybe I would just, because I think the one about an amenity, procedure, I think we probably all agree. I did some sniffing around on other CDDs and what they do in terms of suspension, and it's 3 steps. It's warning letter, first suspension, which is typically around 30 days.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay,
then,
interesting.
second offense could be something up to 1 year. So, I think that we need some kind of a process. I'm not sure we'll sort it out today. We probably need to do some more digging on other CDDs and have an official proposal.
So is a warning always the first step regardless of the severity of the
No,
infraction?
it depends. It depends. Some
Okay.
infractions, I think it's kind of like the POA has, some are not curable.
Okay, okay,
So,
gotcha.
If it's something that's, a threat or firearms or something else, then, you can't. I think that's where we have to me, it's a double-edged sword, because if we try to be too prescriptive, we could
Right.
screw ourselves.
Correct.
But if we're not, if we have nothing, I mean, maybe it's better to have nothing, I don't know, but I think we should at least have a discussion about it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the camp of maybe it's better to have nothing, because then we address issues as they come up.
That's kind of where I'm
And
at.
try to be as consistent as
Exactly.
possible
Okay,
within the
alright,
confines.
okay.
But
Exactly.
But if something is not that bad, we can modify it. If something is a lot more egregious, we can
Okay,
modify
fair
it.
enough.
But
Even the code of conduct stuff for people coming up here, it's like, okay, Be a nice human being. I mean, you know, I mean, yeah,
Well,
it's difficult.
so let's talk about the second thing first, which is, you know, I've talked to Greg about this extensively over the last few weeks, and also a couple staff members, by way of example. At the St. Patrick's Day dinner, and this goes back to Darlene's point about the seating, which seems to be something that produces incredible levels of anxiety among our residents. There was a group of, I think it was 16, and the hosts of the 16 ended up at the wrong table of 8. And F-bombs ensued.
Why couldn't they just, why couldn't they just?
No, they did, but.
Why did that take?
But that was, but what staff is hearing is, I don't effing believe that this effing happened, you people are effing idiots. And so I
That's where I have zero tolerance
well,
for those people.
I have zero tolerance for it too. And, you know, I saw it at the ladies' lunch last Thursday where, because of the setup of the event, and yes, maybe we can do a slightly better communication of what the seating is. I think that what's happening is, you know, people are, their reaction is completely disproportional to the situation at hand. You know, Pam McCafferty wasn't up here F-bombing.
Right.
She accidentally got charged, you know, $8,000 for her checking account.
Right.
So, I would like to see us consider as a board, and I got an example, I didn't send it around, from Kingsgate that Greg had kindly gotten. Because essentially what the content of this email that went out to members and residents, you know, said, you know, we hope this message finds you well. We'd like to remind you of the club's rules. And then it iterated the key rules that relate to people's behavior about, you know, not being abusive to staff, that expletive or offensive language will not be tolerated.
Do we have club rules now?
Well, yeah, we do. We have the rules, right? We have the rules.
Yeah, but do we have?
We do. In there are rules. Thank you, Greg.
Oh, look at how good you are.
I've got a packet for you. The first 3 are the bids from the HVAC
Oh,
unit.
thank you, sir.
And then I think it's the second to last page that
Okay.
shows what Jill's reading off of about Kingsgate.
Oh,
And then it
thank
also,
you. Yes, the very last page, yellow. All complaints,
Okay.
criticisms, suggestions. Yeah, and I
This-
think,
this is out of our rules.
oh, thank you for doing that.
Oh,
That's
perfect.
awesome. Thank you.
And when I said, do we have rules, my question was really, do we have rules that are not embedded in our rules, which nobody reads? In other words,
Well,
it sounds
we,
like,
we do, and we have everything from,
It
You know.
says shouldn't verbally otherwise abuse personnel, and that's.
yeah, and I think,
but I'm thinking in a document different than this, so that was what I was trying to clarify. Do we have something that is like posted here? These are the rules in our club that aren't buried in our rules and regulations that people don't seem to sort through.
well, you'd hope that we wouldn't have to do that, but I think maybe what I would like to see us do, and I think it should come from the board versus Hampton, because I think Hampton's getting a lot of flack over, you know, obviously, aside from the billing stuff, you know, the card stuff, you know, that's fallen on Hampton, even though that was not a Hampton policy. You know, some of the other things that are happening, the types of behavior where people are saying, well, I don't work for you, you work for me. I think the amount of abuse, for example, that the people at the reception desk have to put up with, because
I do too. I especially like reservations for specific tables can be requested but are not guaranteed.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, at the same time, it does say in here, you know, team members are under supervision and, you know, they can't misbehave either, you know, rendering courteous and prompt service. If it's not rendered, you know, should be reported to the manager immediately. But the number of things I've witnessed in the last 4 weeks is just, the complete lack of courtesy. I can't tell you the number of times, you know, I've been sitting with Greg behind closed doors and people just throw the door open.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Or I was sitting with Kat a couple of times, and it's, I think people are, I think,
I think it's the environment,
Yeah.
I mean, in the world,
Yeah.
there's just a
Yeah.
lot happening, but I think that it would be kind of cool to have and this should be from the board,
yes,
a notice from the board to the community saying, what we want to remind you that, it's important that we all live amicably in this community, and as a result, we
Right.
feel it necessary to republish some rules related to behavior in the clubhouse.
When we had people sign the gym waivers, whatever, last year,
Yeah, the club waivers.
did a couple of, are we going to reissue that again? Have people resign, or once you sign, you sign?
yes, once you
Once you
sign,
sign,
you
you
sign.
Okay, because I was gonna say, if we were gonna update that, we could then include that into what they sign.
Well, and
And this way,
typically,
they, it's not just an email that they may have disregarded, it's something that,
yeah,
Well,
well, you know,
that I want to have them sign it. I would just like to have like maybe these first 5 bullets on a sign up in the front, and then we publish it and say,
It's
nobody's gonna,
really sad that we have to
Nobody's
remind
gonna-
people to be polite to each
and
other.
nobody's gonna read a sign up front.
well,
yeah, but it doesn't matter.
well, I have a
It's
suggestion.
published.
If we send something out, typically, and I don't think Hampton had the opportunity to do this, but I worked with Vesta last year on this. Before season started, to say, just a reminder, about, swimwear in the clubhouse, and, we probably can include, not letting your infants drive golf carts. Typically, we've done that, but I think maybe it's time to
And I think once
remind people.
I think once the snowbirds leave, it'll calm back down again. I think it's really more of a reminder for next season. I think it's more seasonal.
Yeah, I don't know.
I respectfully disagree.
I don't think it is seasonal.
It's not.
Ask Keith, he's been here 8 years. It's not seasonal.
Okay.
It's
I don't
really a
think
code
it
of
is
conduct,
either.
a standard of culture. I think one piece of verbiage you can include in the communication can refer to something along the lines of, our staff are hospitality-oriented people. We're here to try to make people happy. But over the years, one of the contributing factors to why there are no tenured staff here is this subject.
Exactly.
And every club I've been at personally in my career, I've seen people that have been there 15, 20, 25. The bartender who retired after 40 years at Royal Palm. I mean, that kind of longevity and tenure, but it's gotta be a two-way street. And I'm not saying that the staff is perfect and that the staff's response are always right, but I can tell you, there is a hierarchy level. We are here to serve you. We are the employees of the staff. You are our clients.
But then on the flip side, those clients deserve to give the staff respect.
100%.
The staff deserves respect,
Yes.
and in my opinion,
100%.
Yes.
even if, I think, this is gonna sound harsh, but I think anybody that mistreats anybody on the staff, that resident needs to be reported immediately so we can take action on it. So the residents know that this isn't the way we operate. We want to be, we want to have a friendly environment, and that behavior is not friendly.
Agreed, and you guys have probably heard more correspondence over the past 4 months about citing incidents and scenarios than you have in a long time.
Yes.
And I will say this is one of the things that keeps me going. 90% of our residents are amazing, supportive, understanding. The whole community, I think, has been neglected, put off. Things have not been taken care of. It just hasn't been a well-run operation. So, and this is part of the reason why all of the committees and the volunteers that work on the committees and the board have had to step up and take on so much responsibility, is because it hasn't been done. You've done it out of necessity. I get that. Now, when I say 90% are gracious, warm, understanding, patient, kind people, there's about 10%, and that doesn't sound like a big number, even if I said 5%.
It's a big number. That's
But when you're talking
140
about
people.
1,300 homes and
Yeah.
2,600 people, 10% is 260 people.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot.
A quarter of them are nuts.
And I have had more people come in and say, listen, I apologize on behalf of other residents or come in and say, hey, first I want to say we're grateful you're here. So many warm, kind residents that's what, we have an opportunity. We have 75, 80% new employees because as of October 1st, 2025, we had 5 or 6 hourly employees and everybody's here less than 2 years. We have a unique opportunity with a bunch of new faces and a bunch of new employees to turn the tide. And that's where I would say, don't wait till next season. I would start the momentum as soon as possible because it's been going on for, you guys know better than me. How long, did Vesta have this issue? With
Yes.
employees coming and going and getting mistreated and
Yes.
no
Yes.
tenure and no longevity?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, let's one spoonful at a time.
Well, so I'm happy to draft something for you all to look at. I think that we should all 5 of us see anything before it goes out because we'll be hearing from people. So
Yeah.
we should know what our voice says.
Yes.
You know, and I think one other thing I wanted, if we have time, one other thing I wanted to include is tons of time left, but this courtesy on the roads, because we've all seen the emails that came from people. So I'll draft something, maybe you and I'll talk about it, and then we can bless it. I'll put this on the agenda for the meeting on the 13th. Perfect.
Yeah, and in regard to the courtesy on the roads, you know, I know Bob Rafato mentioned the fact that people go around speed bumps. Well, here's the difference. If they're not going around the speed bumps, they're just going straight through the stop signs.
Yeah.
So pick your poison.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, and look, I hear what he's saying, but.
I hear what he's saying too, but the problem is everybody is in such a rush to go outside this community and wait in traffic. Right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Because that's the reality of the situation. Just everybody just give yourself 5 more minutes.
yeah.
And while we're talking about that, I need to share a comment that was made when I did my POA update. One of the POA board members was very adamant about wanting to know where we got the quantitative data for where we install speed bumps and speed humps. And so I respectfully said, I do not have quantitative data, I have qualitative data, and we are installing the speed bumps based on that qualitative data. But that also brings up the next point, which is we're continuing to get emails about people saying, you know, we got one just recently about Portofino.
Yes, and Pissarro.
And Pissarro. So what is I'm not saying I want quantitative data. I don't want to install something that picks up how many tires are speeding. What I want to know is how are we going to address the rest of the community?
Good question.
Because at some point, we just become one giant speed bump.
Right, which I don't think is, and you know, from my perspective on most of Portofino, my rationale has always been, it's got a lot of curves.
Yeah.
So
Somebody said that to me.
whereas Pissarro is a straightaway, Padova is a straightaway until you get to the end, the halfway, like past by the golf course. And Veneto has a lot of straightaway. There's not as many curves.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I mean-
my point about, I'm sorry, Rich, my point about Padova, when the emails first started coming up and the determination of that is you have to take a look at density within that strip.
Right.
And you're not only talking the number of residents down that strip from Veneto to the end of Padova versus, you know, Veneto to the end of Portofino, but you're also talking about AC, plumbing, anything else
Right.
where there's maintenance. Because of that density, you're gonna have that much more volume of traffic. So while a lot of it is qualitative, you could just take a look at an overview of the property and go, from a quantitative perspective, the volume of traffic down Padova is that much more significant than the volume of traffic down Portofino. Now, yeah, granted, Portofino, you guys have your own landscaping and we don't, but vendor maintenance also then becomes huge as
Yeah,
well.
I mean-
So,
mean,
but I agree,
yeah, I looked
Cheryl,
at,
we
yeah.
need to address.
Yeah, I looked down at the
How are we
Portofino,
gonna-
and I know, once you get toward past the Valenza Loop site, you can't really speed. People speed from the
Yeah.
very, very end to like the Valenza Loop side,
Okay,
because there's very little traffic. Once you start getting past there, there's just too much traffic, it starts winding, there's cars parked on both sides, it's very hard to speed. Portofino, yes,
I
you
knew
can speed at the very top of it by Veneto, but you can't speed on Portofino unless you start getting to where the houses are, because there were just too many cars parked on both sides of the street 99% of the time. Which is why, like I said, which is why I'm worried about even opening up the Centinela side because of traffic. It's really not a speeding issue, it's which lane are you in issue,
Right.
because,
Right.
you know, rules of the road are, if you're driving in the right-hand lane, and there's a car parked in the right-hand lane, and you need to pull to the left, the car in that lane has the right of way over you to go through
Correct.
versus you pulling into
But
their
that's
lane.
people
and going-
understanding rules of the road.
I know,
Rich,
but,
And you
and so,
can't cure everything.
but
You can't cure
that, no,
everything, exactly.
I'm saying, but that's more of the issue on those roads than speeding. Yeah, it might be one person here, one person there, but we're not, anybody can speed on any road at any point in time. So if you go there, it's Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock, and there's nobody visiting and there's nobody working, yes, the roads are open, you can go faster, but you're not gonna put a speed bump for 3 hours a week.
No, I agree. So I don't know if anybody saw, out on Facebook, apparently this past week, somebody on a bicycle did get hit by a vehicle, a Genesis SUV.
Right.
So, you know, I don't know if she ever called the police or anything, and then there were emails going out about that, and, you know, from that perspective, she should have called the police.
Well, what happened apparently was the people I reread the post, and the vehicle stopped and they
Yes.
spoke to the bicyclist.
Yes,
And he's trying to find them now because he found out his bicycle's damaged. So he's the one who let them go.
okay, well, then,
And,
in those cases.
and
you
that's a
can't.
tricky spot there, as
Yeah,
somebody
sure.
goes through there
Sure.
all the time. You've got Medici coming in,
Yep,
and
yep.
then people going this way, people going this way. The people closer to the power lines on Passaro are having a lot of work done right now,
Yep.
so there's trucks, you know, they're coming over, and to your point
All
about the
right.
lane,
Yeah.
so,
Question,
yeah.
do we change the speed limit from 25 to 15, and then we start enforcement? I'm just throwing it out there, I'm just spitballing.
I don't think we do that. I think if anything, I mean, we should talk about enforcement first. How are
Okay.
we even gonna do that?
Well,
Well,
it
we
has
have
to
to
be done
depend
with
on the
POA.
Well,
Right. Are we gonna put the little?
We don't have any way to
Well,
monitor.
I was just looking
No.
today, because after I saw that email this morning or last night
Right,
about speeding,
right.
they have radar guns or radar tripods that have cameras attached to them for like $10,000-15,000. If somebody from the POA could man it.
That's like our traffic hawk right now, though.
well, the
And they have to
but the
manually
traffic-
go through.
no, you have to, no, but these take pictures, somebody speeds and takes a picture.
Well,
So you don't
we
have
have that
So you
technology.
don't have to go through 24 hours.
We have that technology, okay, with the new tech wave, right? That technology is out there, and what it does, it takes a picture of that license plate speeding and automatically will send them a violation. It prints it out, and right there in the POA office, they can stuff it in an envelope, whatever charge they want, $100 for it. It spits it out, put it in an envelope, and it's gone, right? That technology is there,
So,
right? It's just a matter of,
But wasn't it more expensive through tech? I thought it was it $30,000 for tech?
well, it's not cheap, but what you're
That's
talking
what
about
you
is just
just-
going through and looking at a camera with a picture. This actually does the violation, it spits it all
And you
out, and
have
it's
to be
over.
able to have a possibility for appeals and.
Yeah.
You know, I think, well, it's probably a discussion for another
Another
day.
day.
I think it's a
but-
longer discussion.
Yeah.
much,
Yeah.
much, because then, I mean, we have the whole issue of, does the POA want to do that enforcement? Because several years ago, I think the reason that we never got it was because the POA didn't advocate for necessarily doing all the violations, it was more self-compliance.
And it was hard then as well, because we didn't have the license plates.
Right,
And
but
so
with
you
the
had
new
to-
system,
it was-
with the new tech wave.
It was so hard to try to match up and go and find a license plate.
Okay,
Now we have that technology, and we're,
okay,
So maybe it's just a matter of reinstalling. Well, traffic cop, you still have to go through the video.
no, well, we can't use the traffic hawk that we have, okay? That
We should still,
technology, this is a completely new, that links up with what we have now.
So-
Longer discussion.
so something we need to find out about this new traffic system that you're talking about is, does that mechanism reference the license plate as it comes into our community, or does it reference a massive database across? Because, and the reason I'm asking that is because not all license plates are captured.
Right. You can get, I think you can get it both, where you can, it captures the federal or the whatever
Okay, yeah,
license
whatever it is,
plate.
Yeah,
I think it'll do that. But now remember that when we do these all become public knowledge.
well,
I understand.
if they want to speed,
And-
then that's the, I mean, that,
But we also can't stop people with rental cars, visitors, guests, and the POA has no authority to do it.
and that's why I'm asking if it's, because you got Instacart coming in here, who goes through speeds, gets the ticket, and it's got the license plate on it, but the guardhouse never got what address the Instacart car was going to.
It doesn't make a
issue.
difference. The POA has no authority.
Well, see, then,
Even if they send a ticket, even if they know who they know who the Instacart person is, and they bring it to the house and here, hey, you were speeding, here it is, and they're gonna.
Exactly. That's the problem, which is why I think this is a much longer conversation.
I agree,
Because
because,
it's for another agenda.
yeah, because that to me is,
And it's a lot of those people that usually. are
then we're
speeding.
only
It's the
ticketing our
delivery people.
residents and our guests that we get the license
Right.
plate associated with.
Right.
And some of our biggest violators, which are things like Instacart,
Right.
Uber Eats and all that,
Right.
are blowing through the neighborhood anyways.
And can a resident be responsible for a guest speeding? That's a very different question.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
I don't know, it can be.
Sounds unconstitutional to
But
me.
even when a vendor, look at the vendors that.
Yeah.
I thought we were responsible. Well,
Those
then wait a
types of-
minute then that means if my vendor parks on the wrong side of the street because he's parking the wrong direction, you cannot issue me a violation for
But you do, I've
But
got
you
that
do.
violation.
it. So, something to think about, Barbara.
Okay.
Okay, so Cheryl just suggested,
I
and if
have
it's
to
okay
go
with
read
you,
the whole parking thing again.
what I'll do, and maybe it
After
gives,
budget, let's have a workshop.
yeah, we'll do it after
Yeah,
budget,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
we can do some additional digging, on it. So that actually kind of concludes what I had on my docket of things. Anybody have anything else?
Yeah, I've got finances.
What do you mean, the financials?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, now, what I will say is I have a doctor appointment on the island at 1, so I.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, yeah, so but my first thing is I had some issues with the financials itself, that I wish we could have figured some stuff out. The March financial shows events, obviously February shows, club events with 0 in the financial. We have Valentine's Day. It should have been as a club event. So that's a problem. And then if you go back to look at Jonas has things listed not by necessarily by event, like St. Patty's Day. St. Patty or Lucky Leprechaun only had 6 people listed as Lucky Leprechaun, but 131 listed under just a generic event. So you don't know what event that the person went to, because now if you look at events, because we had all those other things, there are 394 people that went to events. Well, what events did those go to? So how do you know how many people went to the Leprechaun event unless you go to the day before, the day after, and start doing all this math to figure out what happened on what day? And then even if you figure out what happened on what day, you still don't know what event they went to. So I think we need to that needs to be resolved, that events, every event should have a name to it. And this way we can then track the event year after year, or so next year, if sales are down, we can say, oh, well, we had these 4 outside events, but we don't know what they are anymore because it's just listed as generic events.
Agreed, and that's something that we're looking at, especially looking at how best to label things versus how we're labeling things, whether it's a member banquet, a club event.
Yeah.
So agreed, and that's something we've talked about, we're working on.
Okay.
Because you're right, when you look at the financials and you look at club event versus banquets,
You can't figure it out.
you can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Maybe if you go back 5 years, you can't figure it out 5 years ago either.
And the whole reason we went to Jonas was to start having good data. So data, garbage in, garbage out, we need to really start cleaning that up.
Because my sense is one of the things that had happened is that there was some work done behind the scenes on Jonas before Hampton got here and I think we probably all have had experience with databases, once you start monkeying with it and data goes into the wrong slot.
But they do have a St. Patty's Day thing,
Right.
but people are just not using the right buttons, so it's also
Yeah,
a training issue
Right,
and
okay.
whatever.
got it.
The other thing I noticed that, in the financials, that cost of beer this month was 10.9%. I'm sorry, that's wrong. So I don't know how the financials came out that way, because in the course of the month, we sold about 1,380 beers for the month. You couldn't have cost you $625. So there's something wrong with the numbers in there. And then also as the way that Jonas is
10% or
captured.
50%?
Hmm?
You said 10%.
This is showing 10%.
It's like $660
Oh, but it's
on
really
sales of
I see.
$6,000, 10%.
Okay.
So there's something very wrong with that. So, and
Eddie's got a
also,
great
if you
deal.
look at,
Now, let me just answer that one at a time. Some of that may be an inventory catch up from the previous month, but also some of it is we had at least 2 hosted bars where people pay $30 for a 3-hour bar. So that will help our cost of sales when people do that, because typically you allocate more towards a category than is actually consumed in that category. Because if it's an open hosted bar, it's more of a tally sheet and a guess. But I'm guessing, I didn't know we were gonna talk about financials, but off the top of my head, I would say that if I looked at the previous month for the cost of sales on beer, it was probably high. So
no, it was about average, it's where it should have kind of been, in the 20, 25, 30th range. So it could be an inventory thing.
Yeah.
But as I go with inventory, that brings my next question also with Jonas and the way things are being categorized. The Burger and Brew, I'm certain, I don't know if that's just the brew as a beer, or all the free alcohol given out for Burger and Brew night.
So I think we talked about this before. I think Burger and Brew this gets a little bit complicated, but I'll explain it. Burger and Brew is set up as a package. A percentage of the price that a server brings in, where the chit goes to the kitchen that says Burger and Brew, the kitchen gets the ticket that says they want the burger medium well with French fries. But that chit does not go to the prep printer in the bar. In order to send a chit to the prep printer in the bar, you have to set up a sales item, because a modifier not attached to a sales item doesn't go to a chit printer.
Right.
So when they set up the sales item, this goes back to the research that I did a couple of months ago with you, when it was 1,600 beers in 2024, did Vesta not charge for those 1,600 beers? Well, the research I found was they created an item, not just for beer, but also gave the option of house wine,
Right.
where it was a $0 associated with that particular sales item. But that same 1,600 beers that showed up on the chip printer as a sales item with the $0 attached to it was also attached to a package that went, I think, 80% towards food cost. And then the other 20% was a guess whether it was going to go to beer or wine.
Okay.
Because they didn't know in 2024.
Okay.
So those beers, that was 1,600 beers from 2024 that we looked up
Right.
and did the research.
So how do we, okay, so.
We don't, we stopped including complimentary beer or wine attached to a food item. That's the only way to do it. If you want to have the bartender and not the chef
Right, so.
make the beer or the
What
wine.
I'm saying, but so so now we still have a discrepancy of all of these. How do you keep track then of how many beers, what beer is sold, and how do you then reconcile that with inventory?
You don't, you guess.
So if we did 385 burgers this month, and somebody decided, and everybody drank wine, that would go through 80 bottles of wine, but you don't know, so, or
beer. You just
beer.
have to divide it up. It's kind of the same thing you do on a hosted bar. When somebody comes in and has 60 people for 4 hours for a hosted bar, and we don't have a POS station at the satellite bar that brings those things in, there's typically a scratch piece of paper that somebody will slash how many beers, how many wines.
Right.
Okay, all right. All right, so let's go to the other question I had on the financials this year. So I discussed with you last month about the cost of the payroll taxes. And we decided it was due to, on front of house, it was due to the increased cost of the service fee.
You lost.
Okay. I said to you last month, I had a question, we discussed why the service fee, why payroll taxes were so high for front of house versus back of house, and it was based upon because of the service fee. Because of the payroll taxes on the
Yeah,
service fee.
I think you asked the question and answered it before you got to it, yeah.
Okay, so now, but this month now, front of house, total labor, this month versus last month were virtually identical. Last month's front of house payroll taxes was $2,391. This month it's last month was $5,000, over $5,000, and this month it's by $2,400. How could payroll taxes on the same salaries be so far different on comparable salaries?
It's a good question, I don't know the answer.
Okay, all right,
Those are best given before the meeting.
well,
Right, I would have to do a little bit of research, whether it
Joe,
was.
Got it.
These came on Wednesday and it's
Got
a
it.
meeting and.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And this is why I had, so I had it to the preliminary, I could have asked these on the preliminary and got them resolved, so the the finals wouldn't come out.
Well, they may not have showed up in the preliminary.
Yeah.
But we don't know, because I.
We don't know.
Or it wouldn't have been this level of granularity.
Yeah, so I have a whole bunch of stuff here, but I think the biggest thing that we really need to look at is, I mean, February sales were not good. But the other thing, and going back to the hours of operations and what we're doing, we also have to realize that we're now open Saturday night. So we've added a night of revenue that we did not have last year. So the sales figures are actually a little skewed to the better, even though if you do comp sales for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, comp sales are actually now down significantly from last year. If you take out Saturday, we went back to brunch, which I advocated for heavily, also helped increase our revenue, but it's not really, we're losing sales in the main dining room is what it comes down to. I can go through a lot of stuff, I got pages here of it, I'm not gonna bore you all, unless you wanna hear it, but we had dropped sales in the dining room especially. We've given up food sales especially.
That's just not true. The sales are down, and I can give you three big reasons why the sales are down. One, they had a murder mystery event last year that was $10,000 we didn't have this year. Number two goes back to Darlene's original question about reservation systems, and I'll pose this one to you all. So the three different reservations challenges that we've had over the last month or so, one was St. Patrick's Day, one was the ladies' luncheon, and the other one was Valentine's Day. We did like 60 less covers on Valentine's Day this year than we did last year. And I'll take ownership for that one because I didn't think club seating on Valentine's Day was appropriate. So if you made a reservation for 2 people last year, you would come and be put at a table of 6 or 4 or 8 to make all tables of 4, 6, and 8. That's why the covers were
We
different.
had club seating last year.
We did.
Yes.
Yep, we did. So what that end result was, we did more revenue by about $6,000 or $7,000 on Valentine's Day. We did about 60 or 70 more covers, but I've uncovered and seen and heard that a lot of people were upset about club seating on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, they were.
We did not do that this year. So if you think about it, we have 19 tables. If we have 19 tables of 2 in their dining room, we have 38 covers.
Well, in my analysis, I took out events. I'm talking just main dining.
I'm talking about overall revenue. Our overall revenue is within like 5%. One of the things that I said was the fact that we're even close on revenue with an entirely new staff after 5 months compared to a management company that was here for 5 or 6 years is mind-boggling and staggering. The fact that we're even close. The thing that to me stands out the most, I'm not looking at chasing the revenue on food dollars, is, my finger's closed, but is the thing with the number with the budget. And if you just give me 1 second here.
Do you want the hard copy?
No, this is a number that's not on the hard copy.
Okay.
But I've got to look up my password for. If anybody has, Rich, if you have any questions or you want to chime in on it or continue on the finance.
I'm just saying, I just went back and I tried to reconcile out events as best as I could from last year. This year did a comparison of like hours, like days, like business, This year, we're also open for tikis, which helps increase numbers. So I'm
Top
saying,
line.
Okay, so there was another good hit from February. We had to close the tiki bar for 6 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
I'm looking at base, I was looking main, I said the main dining room, I just say, and I know the tiki bar also experienced, we had some bad weather days too, so I'm not.
Yep.
And I get all that, I'm looking more at the main dining than any place else. Sales are just not.
Here's the thing that's most troubling for me when I look at the budget. So in the history of this club, I've got 10 years of history, all 12 months. 10 years, all 12 months. The highest budgeted number in 10 years for all 12 months was February. The budget was $149,000. In the history of this club, over the last 10 years, looking at all 12 months for all 10 years, the highest number I see on here is that's this year. I don't want to count this year. The highest number I ever see is 134. So my question is how does, the budget this year for February was $149,000. The budget last year for February was $106,000. The budget for 2 years ago was 93. So how do we go from 93 to 150 in 2 years? There are no increases in a 10-year history. They go up 65 or 70%. And it would be one thing if we added a new neighborhood, if we put on the La Sala bar, or we added the Tiki bar, but there's no change over 2 years. And to go from 93,000 in 2024 to 150,000 on the budget is unexplainable.
But last February, we did $126,000.
But I just spoke to you about the large event that was, I think, $13,000 for the murder
Murder
mystery.
mystery.
And I spoke to you about the club seating for Valentine's Day. And they didn't close the tiki bar for a week. And then you mentioned the bad weather. So those four things equate to about $25,000. The average trend for February for the last 10 years, the budget is 68, 66, 69, 75, 85, 64, 70, 93, 93, and then it goes 106, 150.
We did talk about in the budget last year seasonality.
Mhm.
And this was before we shortened our relationship. So, and Vesta, no, we talked about, I remember talking about that seasonality during
Yeah.
budget and then saying, no, we have plans to do this. And we said, okay, so, yeah, you have a budget number that is clearly not attainable with an existing
it's
club
not.
But I'm
structure.
not even looking at the budget, I'm just doing comp sales. And again, I took out,
Where do comp sales stand for the year? It's October 1st till end of February.
I did not.
Total sales, what I'm looking at and what Carol gave us, bottom line total income, is 464 compared to prior year at 468. So there's
Right.
$4,000,
Yeah.
we're less than, like you said, less than 5%,
Right.
right? I mean, this
Like
is,
1%.
or 1%,
Yeah.
yeah, less than 1% at this point. February was a hard month compared to last year, but like you said, there were some
And
extenuating
March
things.
March is down.
But
Well, we don't have February, so let's talk about February.
yeah, I don't know, I can't talk until that's done. So in my mind, if I'm just comparing to last year, the numbers on a year-to-date basis, from a total income perspective, regardless of the categorization and where it's at and what bucket it's sitting in, to me, that's a hit.
I agree.
My opinion, that
You're doing
$4,000.
exactly what I highlight and look at when I go through.
Well, the biggest factor too to consider is you literally have a new management company and an
Yes.
entire new staff
Yes,
4.5, 5
Yes.
months in.
with a lot of learning curve
Yes.
and extra payroll costs. And we know for every dollar that we make, we're also subsidizing 25 cents,
Maybe more.
50 cents.
Yeah.
50 cents. So I think I think from a sales perspective, when I take a look at it on a year-to-date basis, because to me, year-to-date basis gets rid of all of the weird trends that you can experience. I feel like on a year-to-date basis, on a revenue basis, we are running rock solid. I would not have one single complaint about a number like
And
this.
I would take that one step further to say, not just on sales, but if you look at net operating income, we're significantly better than we were last year.
Well, that's the number,
I haven't-
that's the
yeah,
number that I care about.
And I agree with, I was just addressing the
Right,
sales.
but I'm just saying, I
Yes.
looked all the way through on those, comparing those two.
Yeah,
Net operating income, we're a loss of 167 this year, we were at a loss of 257 last year.
correct,
And then if you look at net profit, we're also significantly better. So I
correct.
looked at these year-to-date to year-to-date because of the seasonality.
Me too.
issues.
That's what I did as
And
well.
I'm feeling very
But
solid about
Cheryl, look at the two things that you kind of normalize a little bit. Look at your credit card charges
Yeah, which are off.
and look at your employee benefits, which we know there was a heavy burden from that stuff.
Exactly.
Right,
Exactly.
right. So
So
I
that's-
haven't looked at that
so that-
detail,
yeah,
Byron. What is the credit card?
You say,
charges?
well, first off, I can't find where the credit card fees that we're collecting are in the
I
financials
saw
either.
them.
I don't know where it is.
That should be a net zero.
But we're spending about $2,000, we're still spending $2,500. We've saved so far year-to-date $10,000 in credit card fees versus last year.
Okay.
So part of that is going to ACH, part of that is possibly collecting fees. I don't know where the fees are.
Somewhere.
And then on payroll, we've saved.
Here it is, credit card merchant fees.
No, that's what we're being charged. Yeah, that's what we're being charged, not what we're saving. So it was and the line above was the
Credit
old
card
one.
fees.
So it was
Okay,
19,900, it was
Uh-huh.
19,100 versus 99, so it's like $10,000 there.
10,000 savings.
Then
Gotcha.
you're saved on payroll, obviously by getting rid of the burden. So that's the other big expense that we've changed.
But that explains that 87,000 to the good, to a certain extent, right?
But the other thing, like when you say those things about saved on payroll, or we added hours of operation for the front desk, we added hours of operation for the team.
Right.
And then the last, let me
But
just say, let me
but
finish
this,
my sentence.
front desk is not F&B.
I'm looking
I'm
at
talking about
consolidated.
payroll. I'm talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
consolidated payroll. And then the other thing that you gotta factor in is opening up Saturday nights.
Mhm.
While I understand that does produce a little bit more revenue, the reason that Saturday nights was closed before is because it produces very little revenue.
Very little revenue.
And the subsidy percentage, when you have similar payroll to very little revenue.
Right.
Because you still have to open the same 5 guys in the kitchen.
Right.
Yeah.
You might lose a server or two because you don't need 5 servers on the floor, you might need 4. But the bigger picture, you add way more incremental revenue or payroll than you do revenue by adding that night. So it's
I agree
gonna,
with that.
it's gonna
And it's
hurt.
also an overtime.
So,
It also adds, yes.
so Greg, I guess the question is, because on Saturday night, I think you said $9,000 for the month, right?
Yeah.
Are we just trading revenue from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night into Saturday?
We don't know, that's.
Are we what?
Cannibalize, are you
Drainage.
cannibalizing?
Stabilizing is,
Yeah, it all gets added together.
No, but are you
Cannibalizing.
stealing one
$9,000. you
Oh.
pay-
one bucket to feed the
Yeah.
next?
People just come
Yeah.
in Saturday night versus Friday night or Thursday night. In the meantime, you got all the extra labor, you said.
Well, I think that may contribute. I think that's a very
Good
small
question.
portion.
So,
Yeah,
so the
I
question
think we've
is,
always had
does
trouble
it,
with
does it make
Saturdays.
sense to be open on Saturday night?
So I didn't know we were gonna have this conversation, but that's okay. My perception after 4.5 months would be, yes, it makes sense on Saturday night.
Mhm.
Yes, I think we can continue to drive events on Saturday night. But I think the biggest impact, and this is on my agenda for the
Not
meeting.
events, but the
No, no. Well, to me, it's this similar. It's whether it's dining or events, they're still
No, but I think
residents,
you have better participation for an event. than you do
Yes.
other dining.
without a doubt.
And charge more money for it.
Let me just finish my thought. So it will take a while to generate the tradition of coming out to dinner here on Saturday night. And it'll not necessarily be an event, but it'll be specials or tastings or vendors coming in and doing wine thing until we start, or even live music in the dining room on Saturday night. It's gonna take a little bit of time to gain momentum for that. But I think the biggest impact we can have is not closing Saturday night. So we're open Friday night, Saturday lunch, close Saturday night, open Sunday breakfast, close Sunday night. I mean, that's the way it was looked at. My suggestion would be, don't open for lunch, open at 4 o'clock every
I
day.
agree.
If you want to open for lunch, do it only on the weekend on Saturday. Or not even on Saturday, but I would think that because of the volume of people in here on Saturday, I think you could have a good lunch on Saturday. You would save what Rich touched on is a lot of the labor overtime hours we're running because of the extended hours of operation. I already did a rough estimate on scheduling. It would be somewhere between $400 and $600 a day of a deficit we would save by opening at 4 p.m., capturing an earlier dinner crowd, not having a kitchen staff in here at 10 a.m. to serve average coverage 12 to 15 during lunch. We're most upside down on our lunch.
And I agree with that 1,000%, because when I walk through here, the volume of people sitting here and having lunch versus the cost of the payroll that's associated with this is
Now, are
significant.
you talking about, are you food at the Tiki Bar too, or not?
No,
So, are you just talking about serving?
Something, that's a decision and a choice.
No, I was asking, when you said lunch, you mean just lunch in the dining room or lunch at the Tiki Bar too? Or-
Well, I would run it two different ways. It's a choice that you guys have to make. Now, if you want to have lunch at the Tiki Bar, that's basically 3 employees for 8 hours a day versus 5 to 6 employees for 8 hours a day. So it's an incremental increase in the spend. My suggestion would be to have a Tiki menu for lunch for the pool Wednesday through Sunday until 4 o'clock. And actually, that Tiki menu would stay in place right up until the Tiki Bar closes. That would be my first suggestion, but that would be up to you all to decide. Do we want to pay this incremental increase in labor and expense and incur the burden? For me personally, if we could be open from 11:30 till 8 o'clock, 5 days a week, that'd be great. But the more money, the more hours we're open, the more revenue we do, the more the subsidy has to be. It's just that simple. If you guys have the appetite and the desire to support lunch service, whether it's full menu, only Tiki Bar, certain days a week, those are all questions that you all need to answer on what the subsidy should be.
And in my opinion, what I need to help make that decision is if we just have a tiki menu and
Yeah.
don't have lunch inside, what does that look like?
I will show you.
And if that's the kind of stuff that I think when we get to the 27th and
That's
looking at that is exactly what I need. to
That's
look at.
exactly what I
That's
have
what I
on
wanna
my
say.
agenda for
And
the.
also, like, I was here a week ago, Thursday night, and personally, I had 8 people. I am not a fan of the new menu, and I would definitely not come for that menu on a Saturday night. On a Saturday night, I'm going to Capitol Grill, I'm going nice. I'm not going because, to get, butternut ravioli and, some other.
It's a whole
Yeah.
don't disagree with
We
you.
need a-
That's a whole different
We
conversation.
need a real dinner menu, I think. I think we're missing a lot of sales have gone.
I
Because-
think you have to be really careful because the nights that get the biggest draw here are the cheap nights.
and I'll tell you, you also gotta think about
That's
the
it.
variety of people too, because
I'm
the
not saying,
butternut squash ravioli is the only thing that Amy can eat on that menu right
I'm not saying
now.
to get rid of it. I'm not saying to get rid of it, but we used to have like a chicken parmesan. We used to have a steak. You can't just get a plain steak. I come to a restaurant, you don't want anything fancy. I want a plain steak.
You
You
can
can't
get a
get,
plain steak, you just tell them you want the steak
Well-
plain. I'm just saying.
yeah, I know. but-
There's a lots of different, and I think that's why I would rely on Greg to say, what is this community responding to? And I'm looking forward to the 27th.
Me too, and I
And if you
am
go-
not objective to resident experience here and a little bit more significant subsidy in order to make that experience happen, but I don't think that means having lunch open in the dining room.
I agree.
In my opinion, until I see
I mean,
numbers.
yeah,
I have never agreed with lunch in the
Yeah,
dining room.
Yes.
I was here, Byron and I were here, it was on Friday. And there were 3 people in the dining room.
Yeah, I know.
We do 10 or 12
That's
coverage.
pretty
Yes, it's-
normal.
Yeah, it's not, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
Okay, so that discussion,
Yeah.
more to come, that will be a very
Yeah,
good
And if the
discussion.
weather's bad, can it tiki, then maybe have everybody inside. If the weather's conducive.
yeah, so we don't have to release the staff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, any other
And maybe-
supervisor requests or comments?
no, I'm good, other
Okay.
than having a shorter meeting someday.
Okay, my only other comment is I am unable to attend or participate in the first meeting in April 13th.
Okay.
So I will see you on the 27th
You're not
Okay,
allowed.
for
yes.
this big discussion.
You're not allowed.
I can't.
When is the budget meeting again? I think.
I'm sorry.
May 8th.
May
Oh, May
8th
It's
is
a
just
Friday.
It's a Friday.
Everyone's saying the 27th, I didn't understand
The
that.
27th is our regular workshop,
Okay.
Byron. And that's when Greg is gonna come back with information for us on all these things, so that when we get to the May 8th meeting, we're not asking all of these setup questions. So,
And you know what I'll do, Greg, and maybe everybody else can do this,
Sure,
is
yeah.
put some email thoughts together and send them to Greg so he can be prepared for that conversation, kind of like our head count chat that we had today. If anything comes up, let's throw it out at Greg so he's ready to chat about it.
On the 27th?
Yeah, so nothing comes as a surprise.
That's great.
all right, motion for adjournment.
Second,
Yay, all good.
I'm first and seconding it.
It's okay, we're not really formal
You
anyway.
didn't do all in favor.
All in favor?
Nah.
Then you have to stay by yourself.
All right. Good meeting today, guys.
Yeah. Everybody gave Wyatt to go ahead and start.
I'm gonna pick this up for you guys. I gotta clean it up.